Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are premiering, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Deburl Harris Eads, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMels24, Unamento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, More Books, Canna Bear, Fiber Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real, Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever's in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
You know, it's what's the name of his ministry? It's his place. It's his place. They reform like drug addicts, and they come to Jesus, and they get cleaned up and filled up by the Holy Spirit, and then they're out and back into life. You know, so if I can get a couple of those guys, yeah, and the truck, that would be a score. Either that.
What type of,
I'm gonna hijack
I wonder what
the
type
truck.
of gas you use in your car.
What's that? Regular.
I wonder what type of gas you use in your car. You put gas in your car?
Regular.
Oh, you mean
Regular
gasoline?
gas.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I might hijack a truck. Let me go back to my old days. You ever heard of the Bugs Bunny heist?
No, Neil.
These guys, they were supposed to be getting a trailer loaded with shrimp. So they, it's mafia guys, like you see in the movies, just like that. They get the tip. They pull a guy over, and the guy's telling them, please, no, you don't, believe me, you don't want this. They kept telling them to shut up. They tied him up, taped up his mouth, took the truck, and when they got back to the warehouse, it was carrots. A trailer full of carrots. So it went down in history as the Bugs Bunny heist. They couldn't do nothing with carrots.
Lovely. Everyone needs carrots.
Come on, you can see that in the movie, Nathan, can't you? Come on, you've got some theater experience. That'll play well in the movie.
I'm still waiting on my wife, by the
Hey,
way.
10th man.
Hoping you'll keep the
Sorry,
conversation
what did you
going.
say? Yeah, I was just going to tell 10th man, the miracle of this thing, 10th man, is that my car hasn't given me any trouble at all, thank the Lord. It's been driving beautiful. That's what I thought I was going to have an issue with. Driving perfect, thank the Lord.
That's good news.
No one is tempted beyond their limit.
Don't jinx it. I don't believe in jinxes, but I know what you're saying. But I've been praying the whole time, but it's been running good, thank God. I'm not pushing it either, I'm doing a nice steady. When the speed limit is 70, I'm doing 79. When the speed limit is 55, I'm doing 64.
Or if you were pushing it, you wouldn't be so happy.
I'd still be in
Are you
New York.
to do Are you headed to North Alabama, South Alabama?
Auburn, Alabama, Tiger Town.
Oh, Auburn. I love North Alabama, man. My grandparents were from there, and it's a beautiful place.
What's over there?
North
Tell me
North
some areas
Tuscaloosa.
there.
The what?
Tell me some areas there. What's over there?
Well, I like the Sipsey National Park and all the. It's like where the Appalachian Mountains are. They like begin right there in that northern part. Haleyville, Alabama is where I spent a lot of time. Real pretty.
Hanleyville.
Yeah, Haleyville.
You said Haleyville?
Yeah. Little small town north of Tuscaloosa.
Come on, right by Roll Tide. That's my team. I'm actually moving to Auburn, and is it arch enemies of Alabama Crimson Tide? But I'm a Bama fan. Roll Tide all the way. And they better
Yeah, my
make the
dad
playoffs.
actually alumni. My dad's an
What was
alumni
that?
of University of Alabama.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Hey, listen, if they don't make the playoffs, I'm sorry, it's a travesty. They got 2 losses, close game to the Tigers, lost in the last play, close game with Tennessee, okay? Same thing, last play of the game. Who has Ohio State beat? Penn State? You put Ohio State right now against Alabama, Alabama will destroy them. And Michigan. Instead, I got to watch a stupid 3-loss LSU team play Georgia instead of Alabama repeating and playing Georgia. It's a joke. They got to do something with college football.
I know just the guy I could recommend.
Oh.
You.
Oh, I'll clean that place up. They'll love me in Alabama.
Well, yeah, because you'd be the elephant in the room.
Hey, how does the Coriolis work? I remember Kiwi was saying something about a football field, about how a certain part of the field will be moving at a different rate than. Oh God, I can't remember it. I'm bad with things like that. But that, according to, well, I'll call him by his real
That's
name,
their-
Blue Marble
that's-
Science.
That's their time dilation, right? That's going to be on the video today if Nathan has a chance to review it. It's the higher you are from Earth,
Yeah.
the different time goes. Such nonsense.
And did you hear that? And how many times you had to say, "This is real"? And he threw his credentials in there. How he went to the top of the mountain, as he did in school. Or what did he say? College.
Yeah, that's Neil
So-
deGrasse.
Throwing his credentials out there like we can't.
Hey guys, all right.
Hey, one deck.
I'm just
Hi,
saying
Wanda.
to hey Tim, I was just saying that yesterday I wasn't. I was sort of viewing my frustrations listening to these clowns. I wasn't actually pointing out your video yesterday, Tim. It was just from that, the Doctor one and Tyson, and I've been watching a few things, and you just listen to these guys talking about this fantasy place in the mines and coals and the bending of time, and I sit there and I'm just thinking, what is going on with these people? They're absolute insane lunatics. That's how they sound to me. I can't. It drives me mad listening to them. This whole fantasy world. It's that's what I was trying to get across. It really gets. I can't cope with them.
Well, you narrated perfectly. That's exactly why I wanted Nathan to do. Wait till you see today's. It goes from Neil deGrasse being the magician to these two guys with their pipe and slippers on, to today the nutty professor. All on the same subject.
Wait, there's another one coming after Neil deGrasse Tyson? Oh,
Well,
this is a treat.
But
Yeah, we did one yesterday.
Today's video, handpicked by 10th Man, is by the YouTube channel The Science Asylum. And the name of the video is The Real Source of Gravity Might Surprise You. ...
Warning, Nutty Professor. Talk about
I was going to
one
say
that
as well. Sorry, guys.
Well, but let me comment on what you were going to say. So, you know how Neil deGrasse does what he does. Then yesterday we got these two guys, and your assessment was perfect. And that's exactly what needs to be addressed and come out. How they're just making stuff up, but they're sitting there in their, mind's view of math. Everything is just mathematical. There's nothing proven. They're just making stuff up. And then at the end, he's wondering how it could all work because there's contradictions. And that was the beauty of yesterday's video. Today's video is going to be like, well, I'm not going to say anything because it's as nutty as you can get.
You hear a little bit?
Yeah. Get ready.
That model explained both falling on Earth and orbits in space.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and you want to go start to finish on this one. This is going to be a fun one.
Just another quick point, Nathan. The videos. The one I read out a few weeks ago when we Googled the 7 proofs of we live on a globe. There is another video with them sort of same points, but it's Tyson and the 3 NASA people going, Bill Nye and another woman going through them points, and they're explaining about the horizon proves Earth curve. And I call it back to basics. I thought that might be a good one just to go over again, because it's the bullshit comes straight out the horse's mouths, as it were, rather than us just Googling a search.
Can
you hear them actually explaining these.
It's a video,
points.
right?
Yeah, it's on.
Can you
YouTube,
stick it in? Can you stick it in Master D?
I can't do that. Put it in
Put
main
it in
chat
Discord and I'll move it over.
Or can you?
Put it in Discord.
Are you on Skype? On deck.
No.
Useless. Okay, no worries.
Well,
put in Discord one deck, and Righteous will get it to Nathan.
Okay, no worries. Cheers.
Yeah, we'll cover that tomorrow. I mean, I don't care what I cover. Literally, I don't care. There's a deluge of anti-flat Earth out there, both mainstream and from our little corner of the pond.
So, what's your summary statement of your responses so far to your reaction videos?
I don't know what you mean.
You've been reading your responses that people
They're
say?
awesome.
Oh, what's the reaction from the people who are watching the videos? They love it.
Yeah, I do. I love it.
That.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it too.
Yeah, people love it.
I'm waiting for the big hit. The big hit's coming, Nathan. It's coming.
My views are down about a third.
But can I tell you why?
Unacceptable.
I particularly liked the one with the Four Stooges.
Who are the Four Stooges?
I particularly liked the one you did with Bryant and the
Dave Weiss and
Globebusters
Jaron.
gang.
Right.
And the reason is, okay, I like cooking, and particularly Asian cuisine, and I've wanted to get fried rice to taste just like even better than I get it in the restaurants. And I started watching this one character called Uncle Roger, who critiques some of the best chefs out there, right? And how they cook fried rice. And while he will give props to them when they get something right, he absolutely, utterly craps on them when they do it wrong. And in doing so, he does it in a comical effect as well. It's, you know, he's funny, but in doing so, he teaches you what not to do and how to get it right.
Like
And
Nathan
that's what I
does.
like.
I see the
That's what he's trying to
comparison.
say,
Yeah.
Neil. Yes, he wasn't subtle. It's
Exactly.
not like Nathan does, like we do, generally speaking.
Like he's all do. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. I take that as a massive compliment. It's just a shame it's not reflected in the views at the moment. But there we go. Such
But
is
hold
life.
on, I got a question. So this fried rice guy that critiques them, I bet he's got like over 100,000 subscribers and got who knows how many views over fried rice, and we're talking about reality here. Come on.
He's got 6.7 million subscribers, 32 million views on one show called Uncle Roger Discuss It by This Fried Rice.
Don't do this. Don't do this. Right. There's in the same way as if you're wealthy and you start concerning yourself with how wealthy am I compared to next man. You don't even have to be wealthy, right? Keeping up with the Joneses, kippers and curtains. You heard all these phrases. You just go nuts.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Nathan. Come on, we're talking about a
quite
topic
finished.
that is.
It wasn't what you were saying. I was in the middle of saying what I was saying, but there we go. You tell me what you were saying, Neil. Go ahead.
We're talking about reality here. Okay? I'm not nothing against the guy critiquing chefs making fried rice. Great. I love fried rice. But when is it going to click that this is reality? This stuff is important here.
Okay.
Maybe people don't care.
Yeah, people don't care. So when I used to use Facebook, so when I was a rep, I used to use Facebook a little bit more because I was doing something interesting with my life. I was out as a rep around the world, James Bond-esque, traveling here, there, and everywhere in posh hotels, meeting with rich, sometimes celebrities, royalty, that sort of thing. It was posh. It was cool as far as I was concerned. So I'll give you an example. I was in, I don't know where, Dubai or somewhere like that. I can't remember exactly. I was in a very, very posh 7-star hotel, whatever the fuck that means. And at the bottom, there was a brand spanking new, released literally that month, Lamborghini. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Just park there. So I went, took a load of pictures of it, posted them on Facebook, and absolutely nobody paid any interest whatsoever. It didn't get any likes, didn't get any comments, nobody gave a crap. And as I scrolled through the feed and looked what preceded it and came after it in my feed, and you can generally say, well, if that's roughly what it looks like in my feed, I know they're personalised, but it'll look pretty similar in someone else's feed amongst the other stuff that's out there on Facebook at that moment. And what was out there was people saying, check it out, waffles for breakfast, 100 likes. Yeah? That's what you would engage people, right? Relatable shit. Now, what I was doing from some 100-story high rise overlooking the city, I remember taking photos from the top of whatever the tallest building in the world was at the time, and being in amazement, taking some absolutely astonishing pictures, putting them on Facebook, and literally no one gave a shit. Yeah. So, in the grand scheme of things, it taught me that people are much more interested in stuff that is directly relatable. It's the contrast to when Chocolate talks about what's the song lyric? What's Chocolate's song lyric?
Why would they lie?
Why would they lie? Right. That is akin to, how does it even affect me? Right? Why would they? What's the benefit of even lying? How can this make any difference to my life? Right? How is this consequential? Would be a better question, right? Why would they? Yeah? Well, that's because people want mundane shit in their life to keep them entertained. People like soap operas that have got general drama around normal stuff. People dying, relationships breaking up. That's what actually truly fascinates the masses. We're on the cutting edge of...
I see your point.
Of something that's much more profound. And for most people, too much to bear, let alone be fascinated and encompassed by. Most of them are repulsed by it. So, you know, what I was going to get to before you interrupted me earlier was to say that therefore you've got to put a different hat on when you look at these things, which is a YouTube hat. And that's what the hat you're looking at this with, you know, through that lens. And you're looking at it and comparing it to a cookery show and going, man, this guy talks about cookery and he's got a bazillion people watching. Yeah. And if I even compared me to the people in my own arena, I'd go nuts. Be like, oh, Jaron's got 100 and something thousand subscribers, right? Why haven't I? And you take that attitude and you just go nuts. Same with the people who aren't as big as you. I'm going to lord it over you. I've got more subscribers. And it's pathetic. In the grand scheme of things, it's pathetic because there's a certain handful of people that have got 1 million plus subscribers and they are big names in whatever their arena is, but probably completely unheard of in other arenas, right up to the level of Tweety Pie. There's a whole generation of people, if you say that name, they won't have the vaguest idea who that is. Yeah? Because it's a different type of arena. But when you start comparing or cross-comparing with other people in YouTube, you just go nuts. Like with wealth, this is where I was going. You can always look and say, oh, I've got more money than all of these people below me. But likewise, you'll end up going, oh, but I've got less money than all of those people. And that's where you end up going nuts. You can only use yourself as a benchmark. How well am I doing? So when I look at my stats, I'm not comparing them to other YouTubers' stats because who cares? You know, if somebody looks at me, literally me on a camera, and go, oh, I don't like the look of him. That's it. It doesn't make any difference what the stats compare to some other guy who they go, oh, look at him. You know, and that's literally all it boils down to. You can't measure those things, so you can't compare those things as far as I'm concerned. You could, but you'd go nuts.
May I make a suggestion? We talked about it in the after show for a few moments about getting Discord more involved. I was thinking maybe we should put it on them to answer the housekeeping questions because, well,
We tried that before.
I don't mind. The housekeeping questions are open to all, though. You know, the fact that you guys spring out of the box answering is probably because you want to break the silence, which is fine.
Well, isn't the silence deafening though when you ask that question?
Yeah. It used to be the case when there was fundies actually debating us because they saw an opening to get one over. There'd be a point where they'd have the devastating point put to them, or a question that they couldn't get around or answer put to them, and the people on the flat earth side couldn't help themselves. They'd have to jump in rather than letting the tension rise, because it's palpable, right? When someone's under pressure, you feel it too, because a lot of the people on the panel, me included, have got a lot of empathy. So when you feel somebody with pressure on them, you in turn feel that pressure and want to relieve it. Which is especially annoying when you've taken ages to put the bloody thumb screws on in the first place. What are you doing taking them off?
That's really a Rice thing for you to say, Nathan.
Right, but I think at least once a week we should, let that pressure fall to Discord.
We tried that. It was going to be a Discord Monday. Remember, Nathan?
Yeah. Vaguely. Something like that. Well, now we're on to doing reaction videos. It's like, if nobody's going to come in and tell us that the Earth's a globe so we can show them how it isn't, then we just have to go through the dross that's on YouTube that is actually presented to the masses. Fine,
Oh, yeah, and it's got more. What's the word? Okay, the word will come to me, but I'll just continue without the word. It will be looking back to it. And we just started recently, but I can already tell, and your comments are already telling you, it'll be one of the best moves you ever did, because you're teaching people in the same situation. It's like role play, except, they've already recorded their statement, and you have to pause, comment. And then, let's see, everyone in the audience hears those same arguments. People parrot those same things that they watch these guys on the video say. So it's nice to have a collection of these on the different subject matters that we're doing, and people can go back to and fine. If they compare it, our audience compare it. They paired you, destroying them, which is fantastic.
Hopefully, I mean,
I
we must have a
I agree.
hyper focused audience just based on the lack of numbers at the moment. There's hardly anybody that is a tertiary viewer, if any, at the moment, for whatever reason. It's like the suppression has got so bad, it doesn't seem to matter what I do. Numbers are down, and I can't do anything about it. They've stayed down. It doesn't matter
That was
about doing
my
these reaction
point.
videos.
I think
That
the
was my
videos
point.
sorry.
Sorry, I was
think
just going to say that was my point. I've learnt to cook better fried rice from watching these cooking reactionary videos, and I'm sure I will learn more than I already have watching FED for the last 2 years, and others will learn as well, and newcomers will learn from your reactionary videos. Absolutely.
It's one of those, I know it'll take time. So the fact that we've been doing a couple of weeks of reaction videos doesn't mean that everyone's going to suddenly know that this is the place to come to get that type of information. The guy doing the fried rice reaction videos, no different, right? He'll have had to spend the time doing it before he built up an audience in that regard. Now I've got a base audience, which is great, and that base audience shares the show already, which is great. But in terms of the dissemination of what we've been doing recently, reacting to videos as opposed to fundies that come in on a tertiary, is that the right word, basis, infrequent at the moment. Well, yeah, that'll take time for people to figure out that that's what we're doing, and they'll come along, hopefully, in their droves eventually. But it just means people are going to spread the word in the meantime, because YouTube won't do it for us.
Well, you have to look at this in the right context. You've explained what's happening, right? So you shouldn't even be here. You should have been shut down a long time ago. So the proper context is no matter what they do, what corner they try to shove us, you still exist.
That's right.
Get rid of him.
Yeah, just get ready for
I mean,
some
if they-
hardcore e-begging from me, though, as time elapses. If views go down even further, it just means that while I say, oh, no, I don't sustain myself with YouTube revenue, it is certainly a factor. You know, certain my revenue does directly come from YouTube advertising. And if that drops, it's like, well, I've got to sustain myself somehow. So I just end up doing more e-begging, which nobody likes. It's not fun.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, though. Like, that's the only way, you know, it's kind of in your hands, really. And the people that watch you, but they can't just erase you from existence, or they'd have to erase, you know, a lot of their own rhetoric. Which
Maybe that's why
can't
they're
do.
suppressing us more at the moment, because we're pointing that exact fact out. What are you going to do? Erase everybody talking about celestial navigation? Because what are you going to erase me for at the moment? Or us? Talking about how Earth is actually navigated and detailing it and going to the books and showing the diagrams and showing the globe diagrams on page 87 and the disclaimers that say you could do this but you don't have to. And it doesn't work very well when you do, and it's really complicated. What are you going to do? Censor that? No. The reality of the world is flat, and that's why they can't censor us. It is much, much more basic than the basics of their models come from flat Earth, which is what I've been saying recently. No, it just is flat. That's why we're not being censored. That's really why, isn't it? Because it would be absolutely draconian if they found out that the world was flat. That's the masses, and realised that there was suppression about that. It's like it would go down in history like burning witches or something similar, wouldn't it? It's a step too far in censorship. I know they were talking about the world being as it was. That wasn't allowed. that's how tight the thumb screws of the governments were at the time. You know, you weren't allowed to talk about reality. You know, talking about it being flat was unacceptable because there was a religious worldview that it wasn't. Therefore, anybody talking about it was suppressed completely. That doesn't sound good at all, does it? Especially when how can you implement that? Because where do you draw the line? You can't. You've got to erase the line and replace the line with ridicule, because the line can't be drawn if your world does actually rely upon it being flat, because that's how it's measured and built on.
Right. So they can't just eliminate you, because, well, they'd have to get rid of Eratosthenes. He would have to go out the window. Al-Biruni, you have to get rid of him.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
Exactly.
it's kind of
there's
like
an
we're
integral part that's why the anti-flat earthers get bundled with us and ours as us. They're the same equivalent. Doesn't matter that they're barking for the globe when they're barking contradictions of the globe to get around our anti-globe rhetoric. They're still barking stuff that isn't in line with the just general populace that thinks it's a globe and doesn't give it much more thought. It's just their controlled structure that they live within without thinking about it. But for the guys that are recognising that it's a debatable subject at all, everybody in that boat is dangerous. No matter which side of the boat you sit on. So bundle them all in the corner and make sure that the top of the list people, at a cursory glance, are saying flat Earth's bad, globe Earth's good. And then problem solved. You don't have to draw any lines and say, well, they are talking about navigation. And if anyone comes along and notices that they're doing it flat, this will all begin again and we'll have to up the level of censorship even more. It's like, so how'd you get around that? Well, yeah, you manufacture it through the algorithm to promote people who, like I say, at a cursory glance, sound like they're in favour of the globe and are doing what they've always done, which is ridicule us. Anybody pointing out their reality to them.
Talking
Well, you know
about,
what it seems like. Sorry, go. Yeah.
it's all right. You just mentioned anti-flat earthers. I had a little poem on anti-flat earthers. A quick one, if you fancy it.
Yeah.
Anti-flat earthers. Navigating on the open sea, finding location in reality. Sounds perfectly logical to me. But then we've got the anti-flat earthers, you see, and this is what they say to me. We don't navigate the surface of Earth. Dip correction accounts for curve. Imaginary tangent lines work just fine. And my reply would go something like, so you really think when you're out on your boat in the middle of the sea that the surface of the ocean is just imaginary? Come on, anti-flat earther, you're sounding very silly. And dip, if you check, is for height of eye. Curve correction is your made-up lie. And I've told you before 1,000 times, we're not using imaginary tangent lines. The horizon mirror works just fine. And this conversation will never stop. It goes round and round like a spinning clock. The difference between anti-flat earthers and me is they don't navigate in reality, whereas I, the flat earther, do it as it's meant to be. You can talk and go over this until you're blue in the face. Anti-flat earthers are lying disgrace. They lie because they're caught in a trap. They lie because they want their globe back. They lie and deceive at any cost. They lie because their globe is lost. And the thing is, it ain't coming back because we've destroyed the heliocentric common sense mind hack. The end.
Very good.
That was one of my favourites, that. Really cool.
The only thing that it does make me dwell on is the fact that the sort of divide and rule mentality would have the people that might oppose anybody who is developing these sorts of control structures and basically set them against each other. And so long as they're fighting with each other, they're not pointing their attention towards the people who've instigated these deceptions. In other words, so long as we're fighting with anti-flat earthers, we're a little scrap over in some back alley somewhere that doesn't need to be concerned with. As long as they're not throwing petrol bombs through the police station, metaphorically speaking, they can riot over there amongst themselves, and it's not a concern. So, again, as much as it's easy to describe this, you know, for the anti-flat earther, it's like, well, why would they put us in that scrap? It's like, well, because, like I keep saying, you're just as dangerous. You're going against globe rhetoric when you try to overcome our arguments. But so long as that scrap in general is kept over there, and the people at the forefront are the ones that just say, aren't flat earthers stupid? Because if that's your main rhetoric, then that, you know, that'll get punted right to the top of the list right quick. Because that's really all you need, ridicule. As opposed to censorship. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got back. I missed Wondek's poem. I'll have to listen, but I caught your last statement. That's why these reaction videos is taking it eye off the anti-flat earthers. Where have they been lately, right? So now we're on the mainstream type of stuff that people see. And now we'll see what the control structures do. If they're doing anything, they'll be doing it soon as we take apart more of these mainstream videos.
Hopefully so. Hopefully the word will get around. People will come and pay attention to them if they're as good a teaching tool as the commenters, who are a hardcore audience anyway, are saying. The ones that may not have been inclined to have shared the show before might go, yeah, you know what, I'll share this. This will make my mate realise where he's going wrong when he parrots off this crap from the mainstream that these guys on Flat Earth Debate are taking apart on a daily basis now.
Well, when I first brought this up to the group I was close to, they sent me videos that we're going over. Hey, just watch this. Don't fall for that conspiracy. Okay, now we're going to do reaction videos for the videos that our friends send us when we, quote unquote, fall for this conspiracy. Well, now we have something to send back, is what I'm saying. You're going to build up a library of guests and certain people that you do reaction videos to that in the future flat earthers are going to get. And then one of us is going to say, here, which one did he send you? Is it this one? Here's the reaction video. Man, I didn't know all that. Oh, I'm going to send this right back to my friends. So now we're doing that, and they're not going to like that.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Arwin, Chocolate Saiyan, The Adam Meekin, Righteous Force, Neil, 10th Man Rising, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
Wow. Wow.
Good afternoon, everyone.
10th Man Rising. What's up?
Do I normally just say 10th?
It's just weird. I'm not used to the whole 10th Man Rising. It's cool.
10th
Well,
man.
this morning.
Yes,
Good
good
morning,
morning,
everybody.
indeed. Should we do housekeeping today? We've been discussing in the pre-show, I'll just fill the audience in on what's been going on, about the sort of change in direction the show has taken abruptly without any particular reason for doing so, but everybody in the audience loves it, which is fine. But in lieu of that, I obviously want to increase the audience numbers. There's a reason to proactively do something to the show, and that is the reason I want to increase the numbers of the show. It's gone down for whatever reason I might choose to blame. There are a number, but I'm not going to do that now. What I am going to say is, if you're enjoying us taking apart some of the mainstream millions of views, nonsensical rubbish that goes out there about Flat Earth and the strawmans they represent us with, then share the show, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to forego housekeeping for a change. Not often we do, but today we are going to, and we're going to get straight into the thick of this particular video that's been shared with us by 10th Man, called The Real Source of Gravity Might Surprise You. So I'm going to stick a share to this video in the live stream chat, so you can check it out and well, do whatever you want with it. I don't know, but there you go. There's the video we're going to be reacting to if you want to go and check it out. And the channel is called the Science Asylum. So there we go. So we're going to get straight into it, and hopefully some of the people in the Discord server and in G+ will give you a few of their reactions as well. We'll see how we go.
It seemed universal. But about a century ago, we learned that model is wrong.
Okay, so we're off to a good start. We're talking about models and whether or not they're right or wrong. Well,
May I-
models
may
are
I-
models.
may I- Nathan, you got to start at the beginning where he says what we want to hear first. You started just after that.
Hey, crazies. For 250 years, we treated gravity as if it was a force like any other. That model explained both falling on Earth.
Okay. Yeah, so we are all aware that gravity is not a force. Okay, well, it was worth playing.
And orbits in space.
Orbits is a begging the question fallacy. Gravity is not a force. Okay. Oh, great start.
It seemed universal. But about a century ago, we learned that model is wrong.
Okay. Yeah, we've been trying to tell our own audiences that they need to get with the current nonsense of Einstein rather than the 107-year out-of-date nonsense of Newtonian gravitation and mass attracting mass. Okay? But it doesn't alter the reason we try and explain to our anti-flat earth audience who tells us gravity is a force in spite of their gurus like George Musa telling them it isn't. It's because we need to debunk the actual Einsteinian nonsense of gravity. But there we go.
Plus, just say something. Plus, if we're learning if we're now learning something is wrong, then it was never proved to be correct in the first place. It was just an idea, that they'd thought up that fits something at that time. So it can't be. It's got no scientific validity to it. So this is what the heliocentric model is.
Exactly. Or to put it another way, you know all that stuff as a heliocentrist I was telling you for hundreds of years? It's all wrong. Guess what? It's this now. That's what you're saying.
And this guy is from like mainstream. Like this is a Glober mainstream channel that's saying this, not flat earther, right? Am I correct?
Gravity
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
is actually
So-
curvature.
So, did you want to add
So
something?
now he's going to tell us how Einstein debunked Newton.
Well, what he's showing is he's got a depiction in a two-dimensional screen that's trying to be bendy and show three-dimensionality to it. But one of the axes is labeled time. It's like, so you're telling me that my reality that was wrong in all of your mass attracting mass gravitation is now this pseudo-Ramonian force-based time bending with an extra dimension to our reality known as time. Time's a concept, it's not a dimension. It certainly isn't this cartoon, and it certainly isn't a line with the word time written on it.
Of space-time. And most of the gravity we experience on Earth is curvature in time.
You can't curve time. Time's a concept. Describing time won't get bent. It won't be dilated. You can't move through it. It's not a medium. It's a description. It's a concept.
Yes, time can curve.
No, it's just stating it into the camera with a jump shot edit won't change the fact that you can't bend time. Show me time. Yeah? Show it me. Then show it me bending. What's that? You can't show it me, but you've just looked at the camera square onto the lens and told them that time bends. Show me time, then show me bending it. Don't just say it. Because Einstein said it, you parrot. Why is this called science? Why have you now cut to your title of your show like this was science? Implying with the channel title that this was somehow science with you looking into the camera saying time bends? Really? What was that bending? Is it the tyre smoke off the DeLorean? What is it that's bending precisely? The tyres? Because no, you can't bend concepts. You can't bend freedom either. Another concept. This stuff isn't for bending, you clown.
This episode was made possible by generous support.
Oh, by the way, give me money. I'm bullshitting you about time bending directly into the camera. Now give me money. Oh, and
I think the picture is pretty appropriate, though. I mean,
on a completely
Don't you
separate
think?
and different note, smash the super chat to support this channel. That's Nathan Oakley 1980.
supporters on Patreon. To be fair, I can understand if you're shocked or confused right
Not shocked or confused. Calling you out as a clown. Did you not hear me call you a clown? There was no shock. There was disgust that you could look in the camera, cut the edit closer to you while you tell people that time bends. Time is a concept. You can't show it me, let alone bend it.
now. Or both. You can probably picture some kind of space curvature.
Can I? What? Picture a fourth dimension? No, I definitely can't. I mean, I can picture 3 dimensions and draw them with them and map with them and do useful shit with them. But as for picturing a fourth dimensional space-time dimension, no, definitely not. I can now have you, undoubtedly, take me on a little journey of imagination land. That's what's actually going to happen. When you tell me that I can do some imagination, which is what you've actually just done.
That's not a huge stretch.
Not a huge stretch for you to tell me that I'm going to be imagining something. I just broke down that you're going to be making your audience imagine something. So let's see where we go now. To physics and science? I doubt it.
But time curvature?
Time doesn't curve. You've just shown a clock. This is a cartoon of a clock. Bending it in any way, shape or form won't change how we perceive what we describe as time.
What does that even mean? It's a fair question, so let's start with a simple experiment.
Oh, here we go. Straight into the pseudoscience bullshit.
Say we've got a tall building.
Science is the establishment of cause and effect by way of systematic experimentation based on hypotheses. A hypothesis establishes what you presume to be the cause of a naturally occurring phenomena. Ergo, step 1 in the scientific method, and he has most definitely and assuredly described this as being science, would be to observe natural phenomena. That is step 1. So when your example starts with, let's have a little look at a man-made building, I can tell you immediately that this is not going to be science. Smashed as ordered. God bless Nathan and panel. Thank you very much indeed, Michael, for the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Anybody got anything to add before we move on?
Well, he opened up this this scenario with the previous theories were proven wrong, and now he's going to try and prove this theory in not a scientific manner.
Maybe he's just describing an upcoming thought experiment. But, you know, maybe that's what it'll be.
I know already.
What's the name of this channel again?
He isn't. That's what I was about to point out. It's called the Science Asylum.
Right.
I think you're being a bit unfair. Not spoke yet. I mean, I'm not holding much hope out when you start with a tall building.
Exactly.
So
That's why
if
I'm trying to
tall
give him the
building-
benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
Do you want me to play this out before calling foul and saying it's pseudoscience? Okay, no, fair enough. That's reasonable.
I think we've got to get to the end of his paragraph so we can at least see if he is in any way formulating anything. Or if
Okay,
it's
right.
just-
I'm just going to do it then, just to defy you. I'm going to say, without doubt, I'm going to lay my reputation on it that this will not be the establishment of cause and effect reasoning based on a hypothesis with an experiment to back it. I'm going to place my reputation on that right here and right now because you said we should leer him out and I shouldn't prejudge. Let's see if I'm going to be capping and pleading that I didn't
I
mean it.
didn't say you were going to be wrong. I just
Like
just hear the
really
ball in
tall.
its entirety
It's
first.
poking out into space.
Yeah, it's poking out into
Uh-oh.
space. So before we've even got to any might be science, he's already broken the second law of thermodynamics, Adam. What say you?
Well, I think
Wait. It's the tall building that's poking out into space. This is the experiment.
But so far, so good, eh? It's not looking good.
Yeah, we're doing great.
We're ignoring any engineering difficulties. Just
Engineering difficulties. What about the second law of thermodynamics difficulty? So if the sky was a vacuum, which you refer to colloquially as space, then the gas you're breathing right now would be filling that availability of volume. So your idea that a building can go into an area of volume that gas isn't filling is a violation of natural law. Don't worry about the engineering difficulties. Worry about the second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics difficulties. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
go with it.
No. We don't do that here. We don't just go into your fantasy bullshit land where we imagine skyscrapers in second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuums. We're not going to go with it. We're going to rip it to pieces.
On
We're
the
gonna
ground
go
floor,
with it, scientist.
Just go with it, That's right, Arwin. Just go with it, right? We're not establishing cause and effect. We're not laying down a prediction. That's a scientific prediction, aka hypothesis. Just go into La La Land with me. It's not a stretch. Yeah, it fucking is. This is a massive stretch because it violates a natural law. There is no sky vacuum for you to put a hypothetical building in.
Nathan, you're just getting hung up on it. Come on.
Just getting hung up on that second law of thermodynamics, natural law of nature, description of something that occurs always without exception. That would be gas filling space. Well, his description and diagrams show gas next to vacuum. Ergo, we'd all be dead because the gas would vacate immediately into that area. That's what gas does. Gas expands at high velocity in all directions to fill whatever volume, and his example has a skyscraper going into a sky vacuum. Ergo, everybody in the example would be dead.
there's a photon launcher. It sends out a photon every second. On the top floor, there's a photon timer.
Oh, it's the same bullshit with clocks and differentials between clocks. It's another parlor trick. This isn't science. Where's the naturally occurring phenomena? Where are you showing us the phenomena of time? Oh, we're looking at clocks. We're going to look at cesium decay.
It receives the photons and measures the time between them. If we assume an absolute time frame for every...
Why would we do this? Why would we assume absolute time frames? Why would we assume that we've got clocks in space? Because your tower is going to be juxtaposed with a claim that this is actually being done in presuppositional orbital motion, right? So again, this is like the other one. 10th is doing this deliberately to annoy me. Is this one deliberately irritating me for a reason? Why is this irritating
He's
me?
he's invoking the fourth dimension, right? He is saying, let's just assume time steps. So he's literally like, let's go with pseudo-Harmonian force space. That's literally what he said.
Yes.
No, and so far we've got.
He's also
if
contradicting the uncertainty principle by talking.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Hopefully you'll break that down at the end, John, in terms of the differential that they're claiming based on them bending lines that aren't needing bending and then unbending them back and claiming that they've corrected them. But we'll come back to that. Adam, what were you saying? Sorry. Please hold that thought, John.
We were predicting so far. I'm not trying to predict what we're going to do, but I've got if cesium clock or with cesium clock if altitude appears to be where we're at so far. If we're going to science any of what he's going to do, it's if altitude so far as I can see. But
why are you formulating his science? Isn't this Science Asylum?
Yeah.
Shouldn't he be doing that?
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Come on.
Just let Chocolate make... everyone shut up. Go ahead, Chocolate. Repeat that point. That's the main point here, is it? With a title like Science Asylum and him flashing up the title of his channel, Science Asylum, after telling you the time bends. Go ahead, Chocolate.
No, I was just, telling Adam, don't formulate his science for him. He should be doing that. He's the one teaching us, right? Mr. Science Asylum? He should formulate this as an experiment, like he said he was. But he's not.
I've got no faith that he will achieve that. So just give him a little bit of help along the way.
Right,
you're a nice guy. I get it.
My reputation's intact. Oh, shocking. Yeah, he's an absolute fraud. This isn't science, mate. Why are you telling your audience that this is science? It's bullshit. Right? What Adam's doing, a man of science, is correcting where you could be formulating this into a bullshit hypothesis with height as your independent variable, you utter clown. Right? Even when we fail to formulate this into a viable hypothesis, which it won't be, you haven't got a naturally occurring phenomena. You haven't got anything. Unless Adam's suggesting that cesium decay is his naturally occurring phenomena he's trying to figure out the cause of. Because I don't hear him saying, I'm going to figure out what caused cesium decay, i.e. an entropy increase.
Well, so far we've got, like you said, independent is altitude, height. But I thought we were going to be affecting time.
Exactly.
So we'll see what height does with time.
Well, he hasn't specified his dependent variable. He's told us about a clock at the top of a tower in space. I mean, we know where he's going with this. That's why I'm getting so annoyed with him preemptively. Let's listen a bit more.
Everyone and everything in the universe, which is certainly what our intuitions tell us to do.
What?
we'd expect the photon timer to receive a photon every second.
Would we? Because we sit around thinking about what photon timers do when they go up to clocks. Nobody's observing this in nature. Nobody gives two shits about your parlour trick with no observed phenomena to be explaining. It's just a parlour trick.
Man-made
But
device.
that's not what happens. The photon timer actually receives a photon every 1.000000000.
Sorry, what the hell does this have to do with anything occurring in nature that we might be wanting to explain the cause of with science? Because that's pretty exclusively what science deals with. Explaining the cause of natural phenomena. What the hell is this?
0, 0, 1.
Go on.
I was just going to say, just because he hasn't formulated this in any sort of coherent way, I lost the point of what was the point of what he's trying to tell us? What was the point of this so-called experiment?
He's proving
He's not
time
done that yet.
bends. That's presumably the thing that he's made. He's made a claim that time bends, cut to his channel name, Science, and then now he's talking about this.
1 seconds. Yes, I know that's 100th of a nanosecond difference, but it's still a difference. That means clocks on the top floor of a building tick just a tiny bit faster.
And so that's a technological issue that you might need to sort out, given that their usefulness is to qualify and describe what we have as a convention. That's time. So that convention is described in these items. If they don't keep up with each other and therefore track the convention that they're describing, then they're faulty. That makes this a technological issue. It's not an issue for science. It's an issue for fucking clockmakers.
Than clocks
Yeah,
on the
no,
ground.
That's the point,
Hold on,
Nathan,
not
that
only
needs
that,
just
that
reiterating.
That deviation was a very insignificant deviation. That would
That doesn't
typically
matter.
be attributed to just like a flaw, an aberration. It's ignored.
No. If there's a difference, there's a difference. Yeah, but it's what's is that a phenomena? Is it because we've got faulty clocks? That's worth sciencing. That's the point. If you do notice it, quantitative or qualitative, it doesn't. You've got a difference, haven't you? Whether you can validate that difference to your supposed cause is a different matter. But you shouldn't poo-poo the difference.
Yeah, but hold on. When it's that low a number, you don't know. Is it really that persistent? An exact number?
Is that number that low outside of the experimental error? Because it can be low if it's still within the experimental error. It's fine.
What?
Right.
Experimental error?
Yeah. You got me there. Fair point.
But this is like what I learned in chemistry. Like if
there is no difference.
Right.
There is no time. There is no time difference. It's calculation based on a belief. Nobody measured that. What their observed phenomenon is the decay rate of cesium.
The decay rate of cesium at the top of an imaginary tower that's never been tested. All right, this is the phenomenon. Yeah.
See, they want you to believe
what
that,
I hear.
Sorry,
Brian.
go chocolate. No, you go chocolate. You go.
I was just gonna say, do you know what I hear when I hear that? Like, do you understand how they tell us that if two people are standing in different places, we're actually moving at different speeds? Well, what I hear is they're taking that vertically, and somebody at the bottom of a building, time is moving differently for them than somebody at the top of the same building. It's the same nonsense that I hear.
No, chocolate though, think of it. You all want to work on the top floor because you don't have to work as long. You get out of work early.
Exactly.
Okay, so what they're doing is they're taking a convention which is describing the progress of our life. And that convention we call time. Now, we describe it, it's a description, and it's useful, and we can put increments into that description, and we can put cogs around the increments and make them work roughly in line with observations of things like the lights in the sky moving over our head. We can correlate all of these things together. But as soon as you start working outside of the convention, that's where you've got a problem. And that's what's happening here. It's all useful to have a convention for time. but then saying, time, the convention itself, bends. No, it doesn't. But that's what they're doing.
Right. It's only the entropy rate that might be changing somehow in that material of that clock.
Correct.
Right? But that,
Correct.
But that's
Stop. That's the only point. So therefore, you can, in science, ascribe a natural phenomenon to that. Cesium decays. There was this much, now there isn't. Why has there been a change? A change. What's that? A phenomena? Something's happened? So I can say, with science, which is narrow, what caused the cesium to decay? What caused that phenomena to happen? Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's telling you.
It's absolutely ludicrous. You're trying to establish the cause of entropy in this instance, but it doesn't matter. It's still a phenomena, and you can still put it through the method if you choose to do so. Or you can take a convention that describes the passage of, in this case, time, and work outside of the convention with a phenomena that you are experiencing, and then take that into a description of something that you can't bend, a convention, and bend it. There you go. And how'd you do it? How'd you convince the people that that's what's actually happened in physical reality? And what reality is that? Well, the fourth dimensional reality you're not a part of. Well, you give them an example with a technologically based phenomena. Clocks, moving at different rates? Who gives a shit? They're used to qualify and describe a convention we have called time. Doesn't matter what they do, and if they're doing something different, so they're not tracking time correctly. No, time's bending. Hello? You're being swindled because they're working outside of the convention. That's what's happening.
No, but there's something going on here. People have to remember something. There is no change. The change they're claiming is purely a calculation that's based on a belief. The rate of cesium decay, right, for them to measure that, space would have to be real. There is no change. This is purely a belief. So there's no point even talking about a change in the rate of the cesium decay, because nobody has ever actually shown that. They've shown a calculation.
Okay, I'll accept that. Okay, hold on. Let me just address that. On face value, I'll just accept that is the case, Brian. Fine. You're saying there is no cesium decay. But it's irrelevant for the following reason. If somebody came along, you know the scene in Back to the Future where he comes with the two stopwatches, puts one in the car, comes back, and they're at different times, right? If somebody did show that, that's what they're describing, right? Because they're saying you can bend the fabric of time. And how it gets bent is what's being described. If someone did show me the two watches, so Doc hands me two stopwatches and tells me this one went through the car and went through time, right? I'd say, well, there's an issue with your watch because it doesn't make any difference what this watch versus this watch says, because neither have any causal influence on the passage of time as we describe it. That just ticks along as it does, and it doesn't matter what the cogs in the clock do or the digital stopwatch says. Time is what it is. How we describe it is irrelevant, and how we then take that description to describe something within the description bending is also irrelevant to the passage of time. I want to make that absolutely clear. Doesn't matter if they show you the parlor trick. It's the same as them saying, well, no, I did get the Cavendish balls to move. Look, they're moving. And first step, natural phenomena observed, please.
But
if that was the case, I'm sorry, man. I was just going to say, if that was the case, I wouldn't be interested in two different stopwatches at different times. I'd be like, excuse me, how did you just take a car through a concept?
They didn't. No, in my example, Chocolate, there was no car, just the stopwatches. I didn't see a car go through time. Doc came up to me with two stopwatches, the ones that in the plot of the movie, in a movie, went in a car and the two stopwatches change. Now Doc's here in front of me. He's got the two stopwatches, and he puts them in front of me like these two clocks. Look, one's different, and well, therefore my car went through time. No, it didn't. Just got two clocks with different times on them.
That's the fundamental of the claim, isn't it? Is that, see, we're looking at cesium decay, yeah, and their claim is that cesium decay rate does not change. So if even if you did show a difference, you see, they would be claiming that cesium is not decaying at a different rate. Their ultimate cause is the cesium continue to decay at the same rate, but was shifted into an alternate timeline, which is why there is a comparative difference between the two when you bring them back together at the same reference point. The ultimate cause is time in what they're trying to formulate this into.
Yes, in a fourth dimensional description, it's travelled further along a geodesic than the other stopwatch. Correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, retarded.
Do we have a fourth dimensional geodesic to make longer, Adam?
No.
Right. So we've just got a convention that we describe what we know as the passage of time with, and we can log it on clocks. So showing differences in them is no difference to showing the Cavendish experiment, also quack nonsense, punted as being science, and saying, look, I can show what it's supposed to do. I expect to see these two clocks different. I expect to see balls moving towards each other. All right, that's fascinating. Sorry, what was the phenomena we were studying? What cesium decay? Well, if you're going to put that through science, you're going to be establishing the cause of cesium decay. That's it. That's what you'll be sciencing.
See, there's a couple of things going on here. One of the things is they're basically claiming the cause of cesium decay is time, right? And they're replacing entropy with time and making time something that is not conceptual.
No.
But that's their point. They're taking entropy out of it. They're literally claiming time is the cause of entropy.
They're saying time will change relative entropy, yeah. But the rate of cesium decay stays the same. The differential is caused by the time shifting of the relative positions, the altitude.
It's a no change change.
Yeah, okay,
It's the no change change. So in what we experience, it's like when they took the guy, or Tyson took the guy to La La Land and describes relativity and describes the guy he's watching speeding up through time up to the speed of light. From your position, he tells him, no change to observe, nothing different. It all seems the same. So we've got a circumstance with the cesium. The cesium, you're never going to show a change in the rate of cesium. It'll decay at the same rate always. But here we show a change. Oh, right. Well, what's accountable for it? Oh, time bending. No. Time you could describe the rate of the decay with as a convention. Now you're going to work outside the convention and say that a geodesic's been bent, making its path longer, making the decay take a greater duration, therefore having more of it comparably to the other cesium because it's higher up and a longer geodesic through space-time. What? Just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, but what's going on there is they're trying to claim that there is a change in the rate of decay, right? And it's due to time because time is the cause of entropy. That's basically, so they're trying to basically wedge in time as being the cause of entropy. That's what they're trying to do. And that entropy, the entropic effect on cesium, right, happens differently at different rates of time at different altitudes and positions away from, let's say, the globe Earth due to the curving of space time. But what's really going on here is not even that. It's the difference between Newtonian, what they claim to be Newtonian, I know it's not, and Einsteinian, let's call it Cavendish era, right? Gravity is that starts, gravity from a Cavendish Newtonian point of view starts with the effect of an apple falling, whereas Einsteinian starts with the cause. Einstein gives you the cause and you go looking for the effects. So the cause is already given. So there's no need to do experiment because the cause is already given. All you have to do is find the effects and match them up to the cause.
Gotcha. That's why. Gotcha. So chronologically, that's why he starts with the cut shot to the camera where he says time bends. That's why he starts out with that.
Yeah, you take the clock up just and see the difference to see how much time has bent. Just like you put the balls together to see how much they'll attract, to see how much the gravity is.
Gotcha.
But to define these points, to bend space, what they're trying to say, or space-time, you would have to know the position of that particle at every point along that line that you're getting ready to curve, which would contradict the uncertainty principle.
And what line would that be? The fourth dimensional geodesic in space-time line?
Yeah, but that's
Well,
John's point's brilliant.
Go on, Adam. Say again.
John's point. We'll just expound on it, John, because that absolutely destroys it by their own rhetoric.
Well, they have a line that they're trying to say that this particle has occupied every point along this line, right? And then they're going to bend that line in fourth dimensional la-la land. But they would have to know the position of that particle all the way from A to B, which would contradict the uncertainty principle.
Two independent clocks tick at different rates? We call that time dilation. I would have called it time variation instead, because it
Time doesn't vary, again, working outside the convention.
isn't actually dilating, but so be it.
Clocks varying. Time doesn't vary. It's a convention used to describe something. You can't vary or dilate conventions.
The point is, time passes at different rates in different places.
No, it does not. Clocks might show different times in different places, but that doesn't show that the time that has passed for anybody has in any way changed, because the convention being used to describe it may change on the cogs or hands or dials or readouts of clocks. You're working outside of the convention. Go ahead.
So this, I think is there's this misconception that a clock is a time meter. No, a clock's used for us to use it in the convention, but it doesn't measure time. A ruler measures distance, one dimension. To imply if you're going to turn time into a dimension, what do you measure it with? Not a clock. You're not measuring time with a clock.
Yeah, certainly not mentioning it as a dimension, a fourth dimension, the pseudo dimension invented by Einstein. That isn't measured by a clock. It's used as a convention to describe something. Go ahead, whoever that is.
I'm just saying, it's what they're doing is not much different than me cooking a turkey at a low heat and cooking it at a high heat and saying the time changed. So they just measure time.
Right.
When they just cooked it at two different temperatures.
Right.
For example, time passes more slowly the closer you are to the Earth.
No, it does not.
The Earth causes it. That's
Time is a convention. It's describing it as moving is nonsense. It's also a reification fallacy. You don't move time. Time is a description. You can't move a convention. My God. This is getting annoying. Every time he says it, I'm going to have to point it out.
The Earth as the cause there as well.
Yeah, he's introduced.
I just turned on the live stream just to see which video we're talking about. I know who we're talking about. I've seen this guy before. Sorry, man.
That's what time curvature looks like around the Earth. That's how it's perceived.
He's right though. Go on, I'll go after him.
Well, I was just going to say he's done another jump cut to tell you how things are perceived. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, when he claims the Earth is the cause, in his model it is, because its mass is the cause of the effect of gravity, because it's mass that bends space and time. So without mass bending space and time, we wouldn't have the apparent effect of gravity. So we wouldn't have time dilation.
What you're saying is he's right within his model, correct?
Yeah, that's when he said the Earth's the cause.
Yeah.
Hey, crazies. For 250 years, we treated gravity as if it was a force like any other. That model explained both falling on Earth and orbits in space.
Okay, so this is the replacement model for the one that he said at the beginning.
It seemed universal. But about a century ago, we learned that model is wrong.
I see. So this is the replacement model. So it's not that this one could be wrong either. It's the old one that's wrong, but now bending concepts outside of their convention is right. Okay.
I know, right?
Wait a second. Hold on. Did he say the model was wrong?
What he's saying
They
is,
just changed the model.
he's saying Newtonian gravity was outdated 107 years ago, aka wrong. Now, we are a little bit more polite about it. Yeah, we say it's been superseded by Einsteinian bending fourth dimensional space-time when we tell our opponents how wrong they are when they say gravity's a force. Now, he's pointing out that up until that point, everyone knew it was a force because they were told by the priests that it was a force. And they had to accept it because that's what they were told to accept. Then, 107 years ago, Einstein comes along and, well, that's all wrong. Gravity's not a force. It's a bending conceptual geodesic in a medium I have invented with a fourth dimension, says Einstein. So out with the old, in with the new. This guy's saying, we found out all that was wrong. Now what's right is what I've been told by Einstein. Now let's go to La La Land. Just remember, jump cut. Time bends.
I just want to give him a bit of credit again. Unlike the anti-flat earthers, at least he does understand the comprehension of the word superseded, meaning the other one was wrong. Something that they struggled with.
Do you think that some of the Globers might contact this guy and try to start telling him that maybe he shouldn't be telling people that Newtonian gravity got superseded? Because, you know, a lot of the Globers we've encountered, they don't like that. But apparently this guy, at least he's up to date with his own rhetoric.
Their objection...
Fits in.
Their objection's 107 years out of date. Shout out to Theo Megawatt. He says, hey, crazies. Appropriate solution for the zealots. Thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
Shout out to AI.
Time dilation is real, and it matters. Our GPS...
Huh? What? So back like time bending, time dilation is real, and it matters. No, it's not real. This on screen is not real. Number one, we've debunked Earth as a sphere with a radius of 3959 because every distance to the horizon that you measure to get R would be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as you assert. And we can show that the horizon's beyond that in the black swan, debunking all notion of any geometric possibilities of acquiring any R values to make these assertions about the Earth being a sphere or having a sphere-edge horizon for things to fall around in orbit. So we've debunked this CGI crap with little blue satellites in presuppositional orbital motion. Every aspect of this that you've just told your audience is real, we have debunked.
This network would fail rather quickly if we didn't...
It fails now because I've just told you why it doesn't work. You don't have a globe Earth for things to fall around. You don't have a sphere-edge horizon and a curved surface. You don't have presuppositional orbital motion based on an R value that we've debunked also. You don't have any of those things. This is all garbage. It's just a cartoon.
Didn't account for it. Within a day of turning it on, your location would have a 7-mile error.
Who cares? It's a stupid model that we're not living on. It makes no difference.
But it gets even crazier than that.
Really? Why? What? You were just telling us how this is all real. Why would it be crazy? Things that make sense tend to make a lot of sense, as opposed to being crazy. Yeah, total nonsense showed with CGI cartoons tends to be pretty crazy. And I can pull apart how crazy it is based on an R value assumption, a geometric sphere-edge horizon for things to fall over in an orbit, and an R value to assert it with mathematics, all of which is debunked. That's why it's crazy. Not because of you're now telling the audience how they need to fantasize this crap, to understand why it isn't really crazy, it really all works, in a fourth dimension we're not experiencing.
The type of time dilation involved in that building
You can't dilate time. Time is a concept. You can't dilate it, or bend it, or travel through it.
experiment is called gravity.
It's not an experiment. It's a parlor trick. Your little description was not an experiment. It didn't establish the cause of a naturally occurring phenomena. You didn't even explain that it was cesium decay. So you're not explaining anything with science. This isn't science. This is a parlor trick. Go on, whoever.
BB.
Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, isn't it telling though? Like, I mean, you kind of caught that, but like that him telling, oh, it's crazy. Well, yeah, because what you're telling us is nonsense. So you have to explain to your audience how crazy it is. Like when you're describing reality, you don't have to say how crazy it is, whether it is or not, because it's just reality. It's just is what it is. But when it's crazy, or you know that what you're about to say is some nonsense, you gotta pepper it with, oh, it's so crazy. I know it sounds crazy, guys, but you know what I mean? Like it's hilarious.
But you're right. It's
Neil
not something.
deGrasse, he says it's real. It's real.
It's not something we have to say here. Hey, I know it sounds crazy, but when you hold a sextant, you're measuring an angle. Because the audience say, actually, no, that doesn't sound crazy at all. It's an angle measuring device. Well, you know when you use that angle measuring device, one of the lines that you're measuring as an angle is a straight line. That's the baseline. You know, on your map, the one that you'll draw a circle on. Well, it's got to be flat, and the reason is because it's an angle. Now, did that need me to pepper it with, this sounds crazy, but when you measure an angle, it's a straight line? No disclaimers needed.
Nope. It's like,
Good analogy.
I know this sounds crazy, but over there, 10 miles away, is a clock tower. And the reason I can see it is because it's there.
Yeah, another perfect example.
That's
Adam's
crazy.
using
You're crazy,
clock at
man.
20 miles. I'll give this a good example. Perfect timing, Adam. So two guys are stood on the shore looking across the bay, and they can see a clock. One of them's a flat earther and one of them's a globe believer. And the globe believer turns to the flat earther and says, you know that clock over there? And the flat earther goes, the one I can see just over there in the distance. The globe goes, yeah. Says, that's not really a clock. And the flat earther goes, well, really? I can just see it. And the globe goes, nah. It's beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere edge at radius 3959. Therefore, what you're seeing is a slightly looming non-standard refraction projection of a clock from behind that reified geometric sphere edge horizon. Therefore, it's not really a clock, it's a mirage. You're seeing it projected up from behind the Earth curve. It's not really there at all. What you are seeing here is a mirage. And the flat earther turns around and goes, really? I just see a clock. And the glober says, well, explain it. And the flat earther says, well, I don't need to explain anything. I'm just looking at a clock about 20 miles away. I didn't even need to tell you the distance. It's just a clock I can see. Oh, what's that? Because you have a sphere edge horizon that's not getting in the way of it, you need to explain that it's a mirage and we're not really seeing it. That sounds like something that you'd start a sentence with, I know it sounds crazy, but that clock's not really there. It's a slightly looming non-standard refraction projection of a clock from behind the physical geometric sphere edge horizon called Earth curve that we're not seeing. We're seeing the clock because it's a mirage. I know it sounds crazy, but that's really the world you live in. As opposed to the flat earther who says, there's a clock. I can see it. No explanation required.
No, but then you'd be the crazy one for not believing his crazy story.
What, you mean you think you can just see that clock? No, you can't just see it. You shouldn't be able to see it. We're seeing too far.
Gravitational time dilation. Not because it comes from gravity, but
Like, not because it comes from gravity. We're not seeing time. You haven't shown us time, let alone shown us it dilate. You've shown us a cartoon of some clocks. You haven't shown us this.
because it causes gravity.
Oh, you haven't shown us it. You haven't demonstrated it, but it's the cause of gravity. What's gravity? Have you shown us that? What's that? What is gravity? Anybody?
They don't know what it is, but it's sure being caused by this thing.
Yeah, we don't know. We're not being shown it. We haven't been defined. It's not been put on screen even as a cartoon yet, but it's the cause of this. What, the cartoon and the working outside of the convention that wasn't scientifically validated is the cause of gravity? I think not. I think definitely all you've done up until now, my friend, is work outside the convention of time.
I know, that sounds weird, but...
Why would you have to qualify that? Again, when I talk about measuring angles off a flat plane, I just say you measure angles off a flat plane, it proves Earth's flat. Do I need to put my hands up in the air? You know, it's crazy.
Weird, guys.
Earth's flat, we measure angles. You might find it hard to believe.
But hear me out. Just for a minute, forget everything you know about gravity.
What, that it's a bending pseudo-Riemannian four-space-time dimension that we don't live in?
Imagine it doesn't exist. In that imaginary world, there's no reason for this squirrel to fall. He just...
What? He's got nothing beneath him. Surely he'll fall. He's more dense than the air.
floats there.
What? What reality do squirrels float?
Isn't it?
Hello? Sorry, am I in La La Land? I'm going to have to listen to this again.
Yeah, because that's a mind trick. It's a switch rate. Imagine it doesn't exist, which it doesn't. We don't have to imagine it doesn't. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, imagine a world where gravity exists and then I take it away, but still within my same paradigm. So I've removed that imaginary force, not imagine a world without gravity.
And that could take.
Imagine it doesn't exist. In that imaginary world, there's no reason for this squirrel to fall.
Yeah, there is. It's more dense than the air it's in. I didn't hear him wrong the first time. He said, imagine a world without gravity. Done. No fourth dimensional space-time bending for me, buddy. Now, see a squirrel. Okay, I'm looking at a squirrel. There's no reason for him to displace the air. Yeah, fucking is. What are you talking about? He's just flat out wrong. Even if I take myself to his imagination land that he's asked me to go to, where I don't imagine a fourth dimensional space-time bending. Yeah, I can do that. Definitely, it's real easy. The squirrel will fall because it's more dense than the air.
You're still in a fourth dimensional space-time bending place, but the effect of gravity, the thing that the cause of pulling me down in this explanation, has been removed, but everything else is equal still. Yeah, this is the false paradox he's putting you in. He's in a world of gravity without gravity, not just in the world.
Wait, but Adam, isn't it the ball falls to the ground? Isn't it mass attracting mass? I thought that was done with.
In that world, but if suddenly the mass stops attracting the mass, therefore which is still the cause, down.
Oh, so he doesn't understand his own rhetoric that he's told us he understood at the beginning of the video. Oh, I'm going to get real irritated with him real quick. Okay, Godzilla37, thank you for the super chat. He says, I sent this super chat yesterday time, but must have dilated and bent on its way over to you. It was also £100 at first. My God, that time bending bastard. Oh, I can't believe it. Thank you very much for this.
Time bending causes like devaluation.
Certainly does, according to Godzilla.
Currency decay.
Yes, currency decay. That's it. That's a natural occurring.
Look, I'm going to think of it as $100, okay?
He just floats there.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't in your cartoon, though. In my world, squirrels don't float. And there's no gravity in my world. Literally, there's no fourth dimensional space-time bending and squirrels don't float.
It's false also. The second he touched off, remember, he's just removed gravity. So the second he touches off, now there's no opposing force. So he just keeps going.
Oh, no, he didn't say that. No. Adam likes to give these people the benefit of the doubt, right? Now, I can either take what you're doing on his behalf and say, no, he's just convoluting a force that would pull the squirrel to the ground with his pseudo-Ramonian force space-time bending. But I'm not going to do that because he starts the video with a disclaimer about 107-year out-of-date gravity being wrong, doesn't he, Adam?
He does. I'm only laughing at his incorrectness in his own rhetoric. Again, like when that baby squirrel was born, if there is no force that is removed, then when it popped out of the mummy squirrel, it just kept on going off into space because there's no other forces, so there's nothing to oppose it in his world. Because he's not saying let's just live in the real world and pretend gravity doesn't exist, because it doesn't, and look at it like that. He's saying, let's go to the world of gravity and take that force effect out. What will happen? And what he's saying there is his squirrel will hover. His squirrel won't hover, and it'll keep moving from the last direction. He'll start acting like a gas particle, won't he? He'll keep moving because there's no other forces to oppose him, because the only reason for this force, for the containment of any effect the squirrel has, is the downward effect of gravity, which is removed, which is why he incorrectly thinks it's just hovering there. Dumb rambling.
That's Newton's laws at play. No unbalanced force means no acceleration.
But again, I hate to do this to Adam, but he's literally put a slide up with Newton's laws on them. What are you going to defend this on his behalf, Adam? I don't think you've got anywhere to go from this.
You can't, Adam.
He's got a cool lab coat.
I hadn't watched this video. For anyone watching that thought that was timed, like I intentionally did that, I know that Adam hasn't watched this either, so he couldn't have known he was literally going to put Newton up, literally in the next slide.
I'm dumbfounded.
Exactly, Adam. I can tell by the look on his stupid face from the moment we started. That's why I was like, I'll put my reputation on it. It won't be science. Right? I could have done the same here and gone, no, he'll definitely be worthy of my fury, because he's juxtaposing his old rhetoric he said is out of date with his new rhetoric with his squirrel floating.
No acceleration means if he wasn't already
Acceleration, what, like down 9.8 meters per second? That sort of downward bias acceleration, that sort of thing. Is it, what? No. The stuff around it, the blue stuff and the white stuff, the clouds, the gases, they're not going down though, are they? That's still stuff. You've coloured it in, right? The blue and the white. What do you think that is?
But the air can't be moving.
Could it not?
No, everything's got to be static. He's just made a claim that everything's static, so even the air's not moving. Now, if the air is moving, then the wind's blowing him. He'd be blown off, poor little squirrel. Look.
So in his world, you turn off gravity and entropy ceases to exist. I'm afraid not.
For that squirrel to hover, unless he's in a vacuum.
But he's just thick.
It's so
Moving?
weird
He's not
because
gonna
there
start-
are actual flying squirrels, right?
No.
It's just like, yeah.
Some of
But
them
they have like
glide.
this skin
They
between
fall.
their,
They
between their
fall
legs
with
and their arms.
style. They're not flying. They're falling with style.
Yeah, but parachuting, like,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah,
close enough.
parachuting.
Come on.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think you'll find that's down to incoherent dielectric acceleration, but we'll get to that another time.
for now. Next, let's say there's time dilation caused by the Earth.
Why would we say that? Let's just say it. Why not prove it with experimental validity? How about we do that? Do you think that might be something we might want to do? Rather than just saying it to your audience. Let's just say it. Let's just say that unicorn horns caused this. I mean, we can just say anything we like, really. I mean, obviously, we'd prefer you offered some scientific validity to your claims, rather than just saying them with your fingers up or a jump cut.
Remember,
I think I can
time
formulate
passes
for him here, Nathan.
Say again.
If no time dilation, floating squirrels. If time dilation, normal squirrels. That appears to be what he's just in a long-winded way made the claim. I mean, with that beautiful slide, but that is the premises of what and how he's demonstrated it to us, to the listener. With that slide, you could see without time dilation, squirrels float.
different rates in different places.
No, we didn't establish that when you showed us a load of clocks with your parlour trick. No, it wasn't science, even though you cut to your channel name when you were claiming this crap about time bending. You definitely did not demonstrate this with your cartoon. And if you did, we'd start asking you what the naturally occurring phenomena was going to be studied if you were going to claim it was science. Now, if it isn't science, you're not going to be offering us any empiricism for naturally occurring phenomena. That's what we deal with exclusively. Not with cartoons or clocks with assertions about some technology issue that you've got with a clock. When you work outside the convention of time.
Did he say there he's demonstrated earlier?
Yes.
Because he started this whole thing with imagine and forget about all the architectural problems if I built a magic tower into space.
Now it's
now that's
you know
been
that thing I
demonstrated.
showed you earlier that was proven to you while you were under hypnosis? Well, you're back in the room knowing full well I proved that. And no, you didn't. And it was ripped apart real time by us.
The heights of the clocks don't have to be that different, though. Any difference will do.
Any difference? What, so you're saying that if I chuck my watch on the floor and then put a different watch slightly higher up, I'm going to show time dilation? No, definitely not.
Yes.
So imagine we attach two clocks to a
Why? So now we've got a flying squirrel with two clocks attached to it. So are you going to do any science on your science channel?
squirrel. One on his head and one on his feet.
And one on his balls.
They should tick at different rates, too.
Should they? Why? Is there some clock issue? We've got manufacturing issues with clocks at the moment. What's going on?
The difference isn't that much. In fact, it's even smaller than it was for the building. It's only an extra 4/100ths of a femtosecond at the head.
Is it? how much difference at the balls?
For every whole second at the feet. But any difference will do.
Will it? The difference in these two clocks isn't a dilation in what we describe with the convention of time. You are working, I've got to say it every time, you are working outside of the convention.
No matter how small. Unfortunately, watching clocks tick doesn't actually give us the right intuition.
It doesn't do anything. If you're trying to establish technological issues with clocks, then yeah, that might be something that was useful. But you're not making that assertion, are you? You're talking about the fabric of nature itself.
Let's
Quick
try something a
question,
little
Arwen.
different.
Arwen, how tall are you, Arwen?
I think roughly 5'7".
I'm 6'2", which means there's a bigger time dilation between my head and my feet than yours.
Okay.
And that's science, baby.
Yeah.
Just doing some quick maths.
But what if I put my knees like around my head?
My
Then
balls are 3.5
Richard-
years younger than my head. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Doing my feet. So by the time I get to 70, are my feet technically a couple of years younger than my head?
Easily.
No, but the blood rushes like through the entire body like within a minute or something. So
If we
my
only
feet were
consider the
still
up
in a
and down
different time
direction,
zone all the
that
time.
frees up the
blood's
sideways
moving through a
direction for
different
something.
time.
so the blood goes through time dilation, is what you're saying?
Well, the blood must be a time traveler. Whilst
Hmm.
as it travels between.
Guys, we gotta forgive him for being all crazy because what's the channel name? The Science Asylum. Yay! We got crazy science.
Right, no, but it's an asylum for people that believe in science. I mean, he is obviously the guy that is the lunatic in that animation. I mean, come on, he is the lunatic. He is confessing.
Okay, so asylum
Yes,
bit might be
I'm
right.
crazy.
Science bit isn't. If you correctly identified what he does, it would be the pseudoscience asylum.
To be fair, he has got a global
He
shirt
claimed
on.
he claimed a 10 to the negative 15th second differential, which I don't even know how you would even attempt to measure that. That's insane.
What would the margin
do,
of
John?
what would the margin of error be? If you're going to claim that as a differential, what's the margin of error? 10 to the what? It's like, this is absurd.
Something else.
All you've
10
got
to the
to do-
negative 15th.
You get a flying squirrel and you put 2 digital watches, strap one to its head and one. And squirrels don't have balls; they have nuts. By the way,
That's what I meant.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
It is beyond ridiculous. It's beyond provable. That's where Arwen's point comes in when he's talking about this. But it's just, again, fundamentally, see, you go on to arguing that. But Nathan, will you just reiterate the point? That's not what he's measuring. He's outside of convention.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if he shows you the difference. It's me with my 2 stopwatches handed to me by Dark. And they show different times. And, well, they're different. Yeah? Well, that means the car went through time. No, it doesn't. No, the car didn't go through time. You're just an idiot. Yeah, but if I show you a cartoon of a building with a load of clocks on it, no. Stick me in a car and send me back through time. In fact, show me time. Show me how it bends. Show me how it's a road I can travel on. Show me any of the things that you've reified this convention into. You can't. You can't show me any of them. What's that? But you can tell me that it bends and then make examples with cartoons and tell me about a technological difference in a piece of equipment, in this case, a clock. Well, that's just a parlor trick.
Yeah, but what they could reference is, right? Like, oh, look at those stars. Like that light is from millions or billions of years ago. So that could be that must have been like the original inspiration for doing this. And basically being like, fight the flat earth, saying like, oh, look at my hand in front of my face. It's not actually there. And now this guy is stating, oh, look at that thing that's slightly away. That means it's in another time. It's just the same kind of nonsense like that. Same formula. Or it seems.
We've already run over the hour mark, so we might as well do a few more minutes on this. I know we've had a lot of comments, but we'll blast our way through a little bit more of it.
For example, this is just a space versus time graph. Nothing too crazy.
Where's the time bit? Sorry, axis along the bottom. Why would that be time? Is that what time looks like? Is this time? Has he shown it us? No. This is definitely not an axis. We don't have an axis in a dimension of time.
We've been looking at graphs.
Go on.
I was going to say, is he trying to plot the quantum states of a particle again?
Yeah, but he put it on a crude graph that was only in 2 dimensions.
Yeah, even doing that is violating the uncertainty principle.
Like that for hundreds of years to look for patterns in motion. Except the squirrel isn't moving. Remember, we're still in that imaginary world with no...
It's normally me saying that. It's normally me pointing it out for Tyson. You know, better wizards wouldn't actually say that sentence. You know, telling your audience that you're in an imaginary la-la land. You know, that normally has to be left up to people like me to point that out. Because better wizards don't actually say it. What a great line. Let's hear that again. Hey, anti-flat earthers, if you're still out there listening, if this is bearable enough and not too painful.
Except the
You need to
squirrel
listen
isn't
up
moving.
to what this guy says.
Remember, we're still in that imaginary world with no force of gravity. That means we expect this squirrel to be at the same height.
Do we? We don't expect it to displace all of the air around it. You don't expect that to happen. You expect a squirrel to behave like gas particles, do you? Why would squirrels behave in such a way in your fantasy la-la land? Seems ludicrous to me.
At all times. He has no reason to fall to the ground.
What? He's got no reason to displace things. Well, yeah, he would. And further to that, he'd have to be inserting quite a lot of energy to be in the air in the first place. How did he get there? Why is he in the air? Did he jump? Did he expel a lot of energy and then displace all of the air to get back down to the ground? Because it wasn't bonded together to hold him there? Because there's nothing bonded together beneath him to hold him there after he presumably jumped up.
Nathan, can I make a short statement? I'm noticing, watching the video on YouTube, because I can't see it in the G+ panel, that the guy seems to be putting up his hands a lot. Like, I'm innocent. Aren't you noticing? Like, he's doing that a lot.
Yeah, I did it too. I went on camera and did it too.
Or does he?
Another jump cut. Or does he what? He doesn't do anything. The description you gave was complete nonsense.
Let's take everything we've learned so far and put...
We haven't learned anything. We've been in La La Land. You think we've learned stuff from you, you clown? No, nobody's learned anything.
Put it all together.
But what, all of the La La Land nonsense together? All right, so we're going to come together with a nice, coherent, big ball of nonsense at the end from your La La Land nonsense that we've all thought about.
Squirrel is hovering above the Earth in space.
We all clear so far? Everyone following along? The squirrel is hovering above the Earth in space.
But it's moving forward in time.
Okay, so we've got a time-traveling, hoveling squirrel.
I mean, everything is moving through time.
Oh, right, is it? No, time's a concept. Things don't move through a concept. You can't travel the highway of freedom. Do you understand what a concept is, you stupid idiot? Nobody is traveling through time. It's not a highway. It's a concept that you're working outside of.
But we also know time...
We also know about these clock cartoons because you told us about this absolutely ludicrously small difference that you claim, that you didn't demonstrate. You postulated with a cartoon.
Time flows at different rates.
No, it doesn't. Time is a convention used to describe something. It doesn't flow. Oh, this is getting so frustrating. Time doesn't flow. Time doesn't dilate. Time doesn't bend. You can't travel on the highway of time. For the love of Jesus!
In different places. You could think of it like a flow gradient around the Earth.
Could you? You could think of it like a river? Like a flow gradient? No. It's a concept used to describe something. It's not for reifying into something with a flow rate. Oh, this is really frustrating, 10th.
Earth. And what happens when there's a gradient? Stuff.
I can see why this guy's got 600,000 subscribers.
Gradients are the reason that anything happens.
Really? What? Gradients are the reason for
What did he just say?
That's a big claim.
You stupid idiot. When Arwin said that you've just got to get everything wrong if you're going to be successful on YouTube, given that this guy's got 600,000 subscribers and I've told the pre-show audience that you shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people, it's hard not to, with things like that lingering around in my skull from Arwin. Yeah, you're getting it all wrong.
Ever. All hail the gradients!
What? He's literally got God being a gradient.
What the fuck is going on here?
Am I losing my mind? What the hell?
What in the holy hell is going on with this guy?
The squirrel's head moves faster through time than his feet.
You're paying attention, globe-believing Muppets. This is your world. That's right. You've got a floating, time-moving squirrel, for an example, and a guy waving his hand saying, I know it all sounds crazy.
This
And
gradually
this is why
turns
we
his
laugh
motion.
at y'all.
No, this is, hang on, Nathan. This is why I wanted you to continue. when the Glovers realize what they actually believe.
Arrow, what we call the forward velocity. Over time, it points more and more toward the Earth.
Right, over time. As in, you're now using time within the convention to describe him moving on a path of time. So now you've got both the convention in its sincerity and you're working outside of its convention with it plotted on a graph.
The squirrel falls to the ground simply because time dilation exists.
No. It jumped up. It would have had to have got into the air in the first instance. Yeah, we don't have randomly floating, time-dilating squirrels. I can't believe I'm having to say that sentence. Why have I been censored? Why have I... When I have to tell somebody they haven't got time-dilating flying squirrels, why would it be the necessity to suppress me? What the hell? We live in a stupid world.
Surprise!
Yeah, I am surprised, mate. I'm shocked. I'm horrified. I'm laughing. I'm glad I got great support in this stupid community that I find myself in. Because if it wasn't for that, I'd go nuts. Because in this world, you're held up and praised, and I'm suppressed. You're telling people about flying squirrels time dilating, and I'm talking about measuring angles. Censor him immediately! What the hell?
We just predicted gravity.
So in the face of this squirrel
The crazy
diagram,
one.
you're stating that if you didn't have the flat Earth community to keep your sanity, you would go nuts.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
The
I'd be
only
on the
thing that
street
would
in poverty.
make
There we go.
The only thing that would make this
Just
better
the squirrel
is,
and nuts, right?
You hear chocolate?
It
Go ahead,
is-
chocolate.
yeah, the only thing that would make this better is for a nice globe believer to come on and tell us how this guy's absolutely on point. That'd be nice if you believe him.
Well, hang on. Kosho said hurricanes travel in a straight line.
Yeah. We need like part 2, 3, 4.
This whole time,
Squirrely
we've
old-
been imagining a universe without a force of gravity. But as long as time passes at different rates in different places,
It doesn't.
things will fall anyway.
What? If so long as time happens at different times, if I work outside the convention that describes what we call time, then things will fall? Are you insane?
Gravity exists.
No, it does not. Gravity is a fourth-dimensional space-time. It's a description. And the description is even labelled with the title of pseudo. It's pseudo-Ramonian for space-time. That was invented. It's just a maths. It's not affecting our physical reality in any way, shape, or form.
Even if we don't treat it as a force.
It's because it isn't one. Go on.
Nathan, did you miss the part where he said we just predicted gravity?
No, I did hear him say it. Everyone was laughing.
Why does the squirrel fall?
Because everyone's asking that question at the moment. Yeah, I ask myself all day. Paula, what the hell is going on with these time-dilating squirrels?
Because there's a flow gradient in time.
Yeah, that's what I get told all the time too. There are floating squirrels. Oh, no, there aren't floating squirrels. And it's because of the gradient, of course. I mean, it's so obvious now you say it. It's a good job you waved your hands in the air and told us how stupid this isn't.
Why does the
Yeah,
moon
that
orbit the
squirrel is
Earth?
only falling due to the time flow gradient.
Yeah,
It's obvious
obviously.
for us now.
Obviously, Brian. Good job you've been keeping up.
Because there's a flow gradient in time.
See? There you have it.
The weird universe we've been imagining?
The weird universe you've been imagining is being ripped apart, frame by frame, as you say it, by a load of flat earthers. And yet this crazy old world has us being the ones suppressed, isn't it nuts?
Is our universe.
No, it isn't. It's a fourth dimensional space-time invented by Einstein that you've described badly.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah, dude. Totally ripped your nonsense apart.
To be clear, though, it's not time itself that's flowing.
No, time doesn't flow. We covered that earlier.
Time doesn't do that, and
No, but you made an effort and point to describe how it did do that, didn't you? I also pointed out while you were saying it that it didn't do that. Now you're disclaiming that it doesn't do that after the fact, after you've got everyone to imagine that it does. What a crazy world. Give him 600,000 subscribers immediately.
neither does space.
Yeah, no, I know. Time and space don't bend. Yeah, we started where you were describing it doing that, and I said it didn't. Now you're ending agreeing with me. Isn't it a crazy world?
The flow you're seeing in this...
What flow? I don't see any flow. There's no squirrels flying. Dilating time. Your example was shite. I haven't seen it.
Animation is just...
Oh, in the animation. Right. I need to explain why the squirrel flew in the animation in La La Land. I spend very little of my time pondering those things, my friend.
just there to give you intuition.
Oh, it makes me have intuition, says you're an idiot. It's not intuition either, it's knowledge and understanding of the world I actually live in. And now, isn't this fourth dimensional space-time bending when you work outside the convention of time? That wasn't intuition you gave me, you numpty.
I've just
Did he just
replaced
tell
the
you
ticket.
did he just give you an intuitive proof?
Yeah. That's what he said.
Clocks with a bunch of imaginary point particles.
Yeah. The ones that John covered earlier. John, this is your cue. Or not.
So, wait, what about point particles? What about them?
Yeah, what about them? Did you track them all? Oh, it's just a squirrel animation. I didn't need to track the squirrel.
Do they feel gravity? Sure. How do they feel that time gradient flow thingy if they don't have any size?
Your time gradient flow thingy. Yes.
Well, because calculus.
Because maths? Maths isn't causal. Again, isn't it science? Isn't your channel the Science Asylum? What the hell? This is not what you're doing if you're now going to blame maths and link it causally to anything, especially when you haven't actually described any phenomena. It's supposed to be science. Why are you now appealing to mathematics? Oh,
That's
God.
the admission. Nathan, that's the admission. It only exists in the maths.
While we consider all these elementary particles to be points with no size, we don't actually know that's true.
This guy is really crap as a wizard, isn't he? Stop making the disclaimers about how wrong you are. It just makes my job easier. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's very little that you know. But you're more than content to put your audience in La La Land, in line with the heliocentric rhetoric of fourth dimensional space-time.
They're just smaller than we can measure.
Very flexible in his approach. Very, very flexible.
But even if they are points with no size, the math doesn't treat them that way.
Who cares what the math does?
If we shrink the squirrel down to subatomic scales...
Oh my God. You're going to stick with the squirrel?
The two clocks get closer and closer, but they're never at a...
Ugh. Now we've got a La La Land squirrel flying, not descending through the gas that it's presumably jumped into, with two clocks attached to it, being shrunk down to a subatomic level. I mean, is it just me, or is this example getting a little Inception-esque?
It's getting
No,
very
at this rate,
movie-like.
at this rate, all we need is Zanuck with his hot tub, with a rotating hot tub with missiles to prove his Coriolis, and we have a whole circus.
What I want to know
I
is,
mean, I shrunk the squirrel.
does the
Nathan,
squirrel, in his little, in his cheeks, does he have one of those little spinners that he spins to know whether or not it's like just a dream?
at exactly the same place, and they're never ticking at exactly the same rate.
Because you've done this. Because you've shrunk a flying, time-dilating squirrel down with two clocks attached to it to subatomic particle levels, so you can, give us a 10 to the 17 or 10 to the 16 or whatever it was. Was it 10 to the 15? What? This is beyond absurd.
There
But
are
at least he
always
calls it the Science Asylum.
two clocks. Sometimes they're just infinitesimally close to each other.
What, in La La Land, mathematics? Not in physical reality, not in any way tangible.
So where does gravity come from?
It doesn't. It's not a force. It doesn't come from anywhere. It's in the maths only.
It comes from time dilation.
Sorry, time dilation, something you just told us isn't something that you could do, as we clarified all the way through your descriptions of it doing that. So the thing that doesn't happen, you can't show, and I clarified as you were describing it doing something, not doing it, is now the cause of this. In maths, not in physics. Hope we're all following along. No wonder he's got his own pair of slapped ass faces on screen at the same time. Yeah, both of these are faces of a man with a, like he's just been slapped in the face with a wet fish.
I have a video that maybe you could play later or tomorrow that is a response video to this that corrects him on what he's saying is the cause of gravity.
Okay.
That's the idea, that time passes at different rates.
The idea that time passes at different rates, we can debunk because we're describing something that works outside of the convention. Again, I have to cover it every single time he says it, but he's just clarified again, crappy wizardry. Don't tell your audience that it's just an idea of time passing at different rates when you've made it clear to them in your examples, conceptual or otherwise, that that's something that does happen, according to you. But now you've let slip that it's just an idea. Yeah, we clarified that all the way through as you reified time and worked outside of its convention over and over and over again. But now you've let it slip, it's just an idea. Yeah, we knew, we disclaimed that all the way through. We made that clear for our audience, not that you did. But what, you think you're going to get away with the complete crap after disclaiming it at the end?
In different places. Large masses like the Earth don't...
What? Here we go. Back to a description of an orbital motion. Why are you describing orbits with Earth as a sphere? Again, we've just debunked every aspect of this.
exert a force.
Force? No, gravity's definitely not a force.
They just make time pass more slowly nearby.
Definitely not. Nothing's going to change what we describe with the convention of time in terms of how much it passes. That will be the same always. You qualifying it or counting beans for it or moving cogs for it isn't changing it. It's just you tracking it or describing it. Now, taking that description and working outside of it because you see something that you used in your bean counting or a difference in the maths doesn't mean that the event and convention of time has changed in any way.
By them. This creates a gradient in the flow of time.
No, it doesn't. No, we don't have falling squirrels, even though you're putting up the visual representation of that so that we all take ourselves back to squirrel falling La La Land.
Which bends space-time
Don't forget holy gradient.
Gravity is just time.
No, it isn't. Gravity is not time. Gravity is a description of a fourth-dimensional space-time called pseudo-Riemannian four-space. Time is not a dimension.
Curving into space.
No, time doesn't bend into space. You can't bend time. Time's a concept.
Time.
Yeah,
is
and he's
more
getting it wrong. He's getting it wrong within the concept, right? Because no, it's gravity is not time. It's the bending of space-time. So you got it wrong within the convention. He's just like losing it. He's losing cohesion. He's just throwing paint at the wall right now.
fundamental than gravity.
The video I have corrects him on this because it should be the equivalence principle. He should be detailing. So him and several others get corrected by this other guy, and that doesn't make the equivalence principle real. Because to ask the question, what is the cause of gravity? I mean, the cause of what? Gravity. What's that? Who proved any of this? What is the cause of this thing that nobody proved existed? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's the ultimate begging the question fallacy, isn't it? What is the cause of gravity? There's no bigger begging the question fallacy than that. Something that was never proven to exist. We're looking for the cause of it. How can you put a cause of something that we have never shown existed?
I'm sorry, Brian, you're still on a two really is level for what this guy's actually going through. He's completely lost it. I mean, he's
Right.
getting all the conventions wrong. He's just putting a mixer in it.
Yeah, you need to take yourself to that fantasy La La Land that he's trying to take his audience to. But with that, I'm going to say another massive, huge, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. We'll wrap up and cover the rest of this numpty nonsense for you in the after show audience. If you're not already, subscribe to my second channel where you can see that after show a couple of days' time, if you are watching this live, that is. So subscribe today to my second channel. Or if you're a member, obviously stay tuned right now and you'll get to see it immediately. Not that it's been recorded yet, but I'm talking from time dilation land, so I can talk about the absolutely superb show that has already happened because we bent time to find out exactly what was going to occur. So stay tuned if you want to watch that. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
So, got any questions about gravity? Please ask in the comments.
I don't think we left our audience with any need to question anything in the comments about gravity, because we left our audience with no doubt about what it was after debunking your complete awesome nonsense.
Thanks for liking and sharing this video.
Nathan, you know why this was third in the sequence of 3?
Because it contradicted the first two in many ways, maybe?
Well, the first one was Neil deGrasse Tyson, of course, the magician of all magicians, saying the same thing without saying the same thing. The second one was the two erudite professor-type scientists, pipe-smoking, slipper-wearing guys, very serious tone, saying the same thing, but not saying in the same manner. Then the third one on purpose was this guy saying what those first two actually believe.
Video. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with us. And until next time, remember, it's okay to be a little crazy.
Oh, what an end.
But is it okay to be a lot? That's the question.
Is it okay to
No,
just be
that's
flat out wrong? Or take your audience to La La Land to explain the nature of their world? I don't think so. I don't think that's acceptable. I mean, that's what we stand directly in contravention of.
Well, not
Because
if he's gonna blur up the lines on the higher frame of thinking and then not give you the keys, right? Because that's misleading.
He just admitted to everything he said is crazy.
I mean, where's all the fact checkers, for Christ's sake?
Yeah, they looked at it and went, yeah, that's all good.
Excellent commentary, Nathan. Yeah, I was laughing so hard. I had tears coming.
Sorry, best laugh I've had for a while, that though. That floating squirrel's got me, mate.
When you break
Yeah,
it down,
again,
I can't believe people actually watch. I don't watch any of this stuff. So everything that you stick in front of me is going to be new to me, which was like, I don't care whatever you put in front of me, I don't care. It'll all be new to me. I'll just react off the cuff. And presumably that's what you like, which is why this works, because I don't pay any of this stuff any attention. I've always said it, right? I'm not exactly Mr. Flat Earth Current Affairs. You know, have you seen that video by Prof. Dave? Nah. I've got a life. I've got fun that I could be having, rather than being made miserable. So, at least if I'm going to be made miserable by this stupid nonsense, I can do it for monetization, right? I can do it on my show. So yeah, if I'm going to have to enjoy stupid shit like this, fine. At least I'm doing it on the show. But it doesn't. When I say I liked how the show was, right? When everyone's like, "Oh, it's quiet. There's no fun is coming on." I'm like, I love this. This is great. We're getting loads of really good information out. We're all really homing our arguments. Yeah, everyone's a bit bloodthirsty, and there's a little bit of internal, tete-a-tete. But that's fine. I like that. It was easy. This, it's mentally, it takes it out of me because it's annoying.
Right,
What,
but
Nathan, you're not
do
excited
it.
to hear about the flying squirrels with clocks attached to their balls or whatever the hell? I mean, that's not exciting for you?
No, no. When I hear it coming out my daughter's iPad, my eldest watches some utter nonsense, and when I hear it coming out of Lanky Box with boings and wings and crazy edits, you're like, it's for 6-year-olds, but it's still irritating. It's the same. The irritation is the same for this, with his jump cuts and his, declarations out there. It's just like, it just grates. It's so irritating.
It's wild and
This is how I used
incohesive,
to
and I
feel when
get
I
it.
would watch. This is how I used to feel when I would watch Vsauce when he would come onto the screen walking backwards or something or doing silly shit. Like that's how Nathan sounds is how I would sound inside. I'd be like, what the hell with this guy? Oh my god, we gotta do.
You would have to be nuts to like this guy's squirrel analogy.
Well, he said at the end, you got to be crazy. But the point is, Nathan, you have passion for the subject. That's what it shows. Because when this nonsense is at this level, it bothers you, which is good.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Maybe not good for my
Gotcha
blood
there.
pressure.
But just
Hey,
do
listen.
it. Hold on, Nathan. Just do it as long as you got the energy for it. Right now, in this time of year, yeah, it is the time for it. And you don't have to keep doing this now for the rest of time, right? So it's just another thing you can do, and we're appreciating it right now. So, yeah.
Well, no, this is going to be one of your highest rated shows you watch because it had everything. It was funny, it was serious, and everything in between those 2 points. And the subject matter coming after the first two guys, the first two videos. This is a lot like if you watch there's like 1 or 2 really good YouTube channels for reaction to songs where the person doing the reaction to a song they hear for the first time, they break down the highs, the lows, the notes, just like a music teacher would. And then you've got all these absurd people saying, okay, I'm going to do a reaction video with goofy backgrounds and everything else. And they got thousands and thousands of followers. And they're hearing a song for the first time, say from the 60s or 70s. And of course, they're born in the 80s or 90s, so they have no idea. And then their faces, it's all about their expression. Okay, please hit subscribe. Please hit subscribe. Make sure you hit subscribe. And poor reaction videos to music versus the 1 or 2 that are really good. Well, we just put this guy on. I'm laughing the whole time through, Nathan. You made my day.
Good to hear.
The thing is, though, it's that time of year, though. It's squirrel time of year when all the squirrels are out.
I hear homecoming. I hear homecoming.
But you're going to walk in the park and see squirrels now and just start laughing your fucking head off.
That is true.
Yeah, we all are on the lookout for the floating squirrels. I mean, what if we would actually see one of them? That would change everything.
I just put a link in there.
What was it that he said? Did he said hail gradients or something? What the hell was that about?
Did hail
Holy
gradients.
gradient, the holy gradient.
Okay, Brian. General relativity, the true cause of gravity in general relativity. Is that the video you're talking about?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. You can see his picture. Kiwi just put in Rocky the flying squirrel.
Doesn't he fly an aeroplane though?
Yeah. But yeah, this is the one. That's the video I was telling you about. This one is like about 15 minutes or something.
Okay, so yeah, I've stuck it on. I'll stick a link. The live audience isn't there anymore to stick a link for. Okay, go and watch Brian's video. It's called. Why have you given
This is not my video. This is not my video. No, this is someone else making a video in response to him not being correct in the rhetoric.
Oh, I see. So this is Dialect. He's about the same size as me. Making a video about him not being right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, good stuff. Is this guy any good? Guess I'll find out.
Yeah,
I've subscribed to him.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, hopefully you'll get a plug, and hopefully people will go and check out that video.
Well, I meant for you to. I'm sharing it so you can go through it Like you did with the last one. It doesn't have to be now, but if you want to do it now, we're all on for it. But it could be tomorrow or whatever.
But is he right or wrong?
Well, your man here is more correct. This guy is more correct because he's addressing the equivalence principle. Whereas the other guy with his flow of time gradient is not correct.
All our modern
Wait,
theories.
is it? Sorry.
The nature of gravity is still such a mystery to us.
The nature of a description of pseudo-Riemannian force space-time bending. Yeah, we'll have to get into this tomorrow. I haven't got the energy. Sorry. We'll do it
Well,
tomorrow.
it's a good lead up for tomorrow.
Right.
So this
You
would
don't
be
have the
one
flow,
Glober
Nathan?
correcting another Glober. That's basically what you're saying.
Sounds like
Yeah,
it.
this
gonna
is the
be?
guy correcting the guy from the past. Yeah.
That's good. That's fine,
Oh.
because that means that we've got more meat. There's more meat on that bone, right? Because if it's just a flat earther, it's like, well, so what? It's inconsequential. But if it's a glober saying, no, you've got your time dilation wires crossed, here's how, and we go, Brill, right, now he's in line with Einstein, now we can pummel it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's
Basically,
actually
yeah.
more correct. He's more correct, yeah.
I don't know who it was that suggested I should put the name of the guy, so I've put this video, Flat Earth Debate, 1781 Live, Nick Lucid Reaction. What's in science? Should I put his name of his show, Science Asylum, in? Might as well. There we go. So there we go. He's got his face on the thumbnail. I wonder if any of the people we actually cover will actually contact us. You know what I mean? Like leave a comment or something.
Yeah, when I saw Science Asylum, I said, Asylum? That sounds like where you put people for
That
safe
sounds
haven.
crazy.
Yeah, you put crazy people in there for safe haven, right? So I go to this channel, I go, oh my gosh, this is gonna be epic.
Maybe the best thing that could happen is one of these guys catches whiff of what we're doing over here, and he'll actually try to respond to us, and then maybe send some of their audience over here. Maybe somebody will take up the mantle to try to defend this crap.
That doesn't seem to
Wow.
happen
I
either.
hope y'all do.
Yeah,
You think
even if
he
that-
would? He would respond to FED, really?
Well, yeah,
With-
but
with what
Thunderfoot
he's
has.
doing? That would be
Wow,
risky.
God, Thunderfoot has. Did it make any difference to my audience? No.
Yeah, it
But
did.
I mean, how
Yeah,
many
it did.
subscribers did Thunderfoot have? Like, is he one of these big guys like this? Like this guy I've seen before, like the guy with the lab coat we heard today. Thunderfoot, I never heard of him until he got into it with us here. Like this
I'd
other
imagine
guy
he's
is like a
similar
more of a
size.
mainstream guy. So I'm saying if somebody has a larger audience and it responds to us, maybe that'll bring us more attention.
Have a look. Thunderfoot's got 1 million subscribers. He's double the size of this guy.
Oh, okay, damn.
Didn't make any
Yeah,
difference.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't say
Thunderfoot
yeah.
doesn't
it did.
have flying
Attention
squirrels.
because of it. I
I
mean,
wouldn't
it's
say-
been to FED's favor
I
to
wouldn't-
get into Thunderfoot.
Yeah, it didn't grow my audience though. So having somebody cover me specifically by name in the title didn't grow my audience. It didn't do anything.
You don't, yeah, but you don't know the power of flying squirrels, Nathan.
No, but look, what you've done has been grafted into our lore, and it's always been in our favor. It's always been good. I'm happy that you did that, and I bet all of the audience is too.
I'm sorry, Ara, I'm still laughing. The best part of the show was when you and Adam were going back and forth about the clock at the top of the squirrel and the bottom, and then Adam saying, "How tall are you, Arwen?" The image in my mind.
The reason, Nathan, that Thunderfoot's audience didn't grow your subscriber base, but I'm sure YouTube obviously are involved, right? But it's also because you were right. You corrected them, you were right. So for them to subscribe to you or give you any attention would mean that they are admitting that they're following someone who has 1 million subscribers and is just wrong, doesn't know what he's talking about. So because you were right, they just didn't want to deal with you at all. They didn't want to ever see you again. That's why they went, do not subscribe. Because if I subscribe to him, some other of his videos will turn up on on my feed. So I don't want to see this Nathan Oakley guy ever again, because he's after just pulling apart the very thing that I believe in.
Right, it's too
That's
dangerous.
why you didn't get it. Yeah, too dangerous. There's funny mind explosions going on when they see you. That's the problem.
Maybe. Like I say, at the moment, all I'm looking at is my stats and going, oh, I've got to do something proactive. Got to change these stats. So it's hard. I know you guys are like, it's at that point where I'm looking at the stats and focused on it, that you're going, no, your content's great. And I'm like, oh, but the content you're dragging out of me, which is what 10th Man's do. Not that I'm moaning. It you know, is in a different mindset. I'm just doing that, just flowing out of me as opposed to giving it much consideration. What I am considering is my stats. It's like, well, I've got to get the viewing figures
But
up.
look, if the internet was a sea, then FED is like a Portuguese warship of a jellyfish in that sea, right? Everything around it has to take that into account. That is a Portuguese warship jellyfish type thing. It's very dangerous if you touch the tentacles. Very
Man of war. Portuguese man of war.
Man of war, right. Yeah, we call it a Portuguese warship in Dutch. So, but
Nathan,
yeah, that's what FED is, right? We
Nathan,
just keep floating, but if something touches those tentacles, it's over.
Nathan, your example of how the apple got on the tree before it fell. How much time did that take?
To grow the apple up to the top of the tree?
Yeah.
I don't know, 20 years.
No, less than that. You can buy a 5-gallon apple tree that's, depending how it was grown, could still produce lemons and so forth as well. My point in that is that being a farmer, right now you're planting the seeds for your next harvest and you want the harvest tomorrow. Keep up what you're doing because your concern is the numbers growing. Well, you're making a change to cause those numbers to grow, but you expect the change now when you got to wait for harvest.
Oh, no, I get that. And if this is a warship, Portuguese or otherwise, warships take a long time to change direction, don't they?
It'll be faster than the apple tree. Let me tell you that. Just keep it up. This is a spur in their shoe. They're not going to like as we bring on some of their heavy hitters.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I know you're not really up to date, Nathan, with all the events. But if you weren't aware, McToon and Fight the Flat Earth are doing an open debate and looking for somebody to discuss the two models with on December 5th at 5 p.m.
Yeah, they don't do open debates.
We do that every day here.
Yeah, I was going to say, sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do open debates anyway. Those are called big bear traps.
It's not on their channel. It's on another channel. It's not on their channel, so they won't have the mute buttons or anything like that. So it would be a mutual server, just so you know. December 5th.
Now whose channel is it on? And can we see some of their history of their shows and how they were moderated?
Hold on. No thanks. You've already disclaimed enough for me to know what the scenario is. You said they want to debate somebody about the models.
Yeah.
So what they want is somebody to enter into debate about a false dichotomy they've set up.
Most likely, yeah. I mean, you could find out. I'll drop a link.
What they want is for you to waste your time for 2 hours. Like everyone else has wasted their time over the years with these two.
That's right, Brian.
Don't waste your time. Don't give them whatever they're looking for.
I'll make this point, right? Anybody who enters into that arena, I will automatically brand as an idiot. Do you want to know why? Because they've automatically lost if they're stepped into that arena. If you're going to debate about which models work, you're on the wrong side of a false dichotomy and reification fallacy. So if you step into that arena, you're thick. So if you're watching this and you were considering going over to debate them about the models, you're an idiot. You're thick. There's no other way to describe you because you haven't recognised the bait that you've had put in front of you and the massive clench ready jaws that are about to snap around your head because you're about to debate about what your version of a reification they make you have. And if you step forth in that arena and go, well, I don't actually have a model, I was going to ask you about elevation angle measurements, and they shut you down and tell you that, no, we're here to talk about models. What's your model? Give it me. Now, if you think this is something new, go back and watch Tim Osman do exactly this 6 years ago with the Morgile, where he baited him in to discuss the models. And then when Morgile refused, he wasn't allowed to talk. It was, what have you got to answer our claims that we don't want to have to defend with? How do you explain this, that, and the other that I'm going to make a claim about later? That's all they did. And that's all this will be.
Well, I think that you have a strong enough personality where you could dictate the conversation, take it off a model, and put it on angles, right? But this is just, this would be a proactive event that you could. Everybody would be surprised to see you there, and it would make a big impact. Just figure I'd drop it out there.
But it would make an impact. That's the point. I disagree. You'd be going backwards.
We've got the flying squirrel model now.
Hold on, hear him out. So you're saying that the channel that it's going on is so wide-reaching that I would expand my audience out by reaching this channel's audience, right?
Well, if you're gonna have even the Glovers there, who will be FTFE and McToon, so their channel would also get to see your perspective on the issue, and then whoever else would be reached from there. I mean,
they're fully aware of Nathan. They're fully aware of Nathan. They've been aware of Nathan for a long time.
Those two are, yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I understand you're trying to say it's a good idea, but it's actually not. And I'll tell you why. Because you're actually going back about 3 or 4 years. Because them jokers were relevant 3 or 4 years ago, and now they're trying to keep themselves relevant. And that's what's wrong. They're absolute time wasters. That's all they do.
100% right, Brian.
Yeah, they're not anyone. Who are they? Who are they? Like, where are you having this debate on some YouTube channel that they're going to make money off of anyway, or some Discord server that their channel is going to make money off? It's a load of rubbish. These people are nobody. That's the problem. You're debating nobodies who are trying to keep themselves relevant and give the audience the impression they're somebodies. They're not. Fight the Flat Earth doesn't have all the qualifications he claims to have. He's never produced them. And it doesn't matter because he doesn't know what he's talking about. MC2 the same. The two of them are nobodies. They're not going to be they will not be on a stage in some university, right in front of the faculty, having a major debate. That will end up getting millions of views. They won't be doing that because they're nobodies.
So Brian,
I agree with everything.
They want the big boys without paying the money? No.
They want to continue.
I don't know. I don't think they want Nathan there at all. I think they would be. I don't think they want Nathan there at all. I think they would be kind of thrown off if Nathan showed up there. Yeah.
No, Brian. They're drowning. They're drowning. They need Nathan there. They're drowning.
I do somewhat agree with what you're saying. I mean but that would go towards Nathan's benefit as well. But they may not be on a stage with millions of people, but they are the first hits when you Google what is flat Earth. These anti-flat earthers come up first.
Right.
And if you were there taking their place, then
that won't be the case. But either way, when you describe that, it harks back to what we were describing in the pre-show. You may not have been around. I was saying, what's the purpose? Well, we're all in the same pond, as I describe it. And you're saying, well, they come up at the top of the search list. Yeah. That scum floats to the top of our pond. That's right. However, they're in the same pond as us. So it's not going to be more expansive for me, personally, as a channel. It's not going to give me any credits, grow my channel. It's not going to do any of those things at all. Especially if it's entered into the premise that you've disseminated based on what you've heard from the information, which means that the moderator of the channel hasn't recognised that what they're opening up on their channel is for someone to debate a false dichotomy. There's already a set of structures in place from them that says that there's going to be two models argued about. So the host will be an idiot.
I like that. Where is this?
Oh, John's taking the bait.
We're gonna discuss two models. Which one is going to be there?
John, I was just going to say, isn't that right up your alley?
Hold on. This is. I wish this was mine, but this is John's shtick, and I love it. Can you just explain to the audience And to the gentleman, who was it that was just talking about no tanks? Can you just explain where I'm poo-pooing it because of the reification fallacy? This is what's the term? Like a rose growing out of the shit pile? That's what this is. Go ahead, John.
Well, I heard that something about two models being discussed. Which two models?
One of them would probably be the globe.
The globe's not a model.
The two flat Earth models, the Glober flat Earth model, and then the flat Earth model.
From what No Tanks had suggested, it seemed to me like they will be sat on a panel going, I've got a globe, and what have you got to compare it to? That's what models will be discussed.
Where did they get that globe model from, John?
That's where we're going.
Yeah, they're in trouble if anybody knows how to debate them. That's what I was going to say. And they won't be able to silence me, right?
Okay, I'm going to just take something back. So this, I'm going to have to, what's the word? Rescind? I've forgotten the word. Retract. There we go. What I just said. So I said, if you go on their show because you're falling into the reification fallacy, you're an idiot. Right, I'm going to take that back. I retract that. Because of John. So there is an angle to be worked here where you could win. And that is to say that model, you say, you'll need a flat earth for them. Doesn't matter which one, you'll need a flat earth for it. Right, John?
That's right. Yeah, their model is the derivative of a flat earth angle measurements applied in a flat earth model. And then they apply mathematics to change that model. So, yeah, they got a flat earth model too. They just don't know it.
There you go, No Tanks.
The data is all taken from the celestial sphere model, which fundamentally operates with a flat baseline. What they do with that data after they've taken it off the flat baseline and extracted the information from the celestial sphere model, which is flat, they then build the ball after that. But their first model, all the data is taken from a flat Earth.
Boom.
The original data.
So yeah, they don't have a model to hold up in false dichotomy.
Adam, just a reminder, just a reminder for Adam. That was perfect. Just add the other caveat. A flat Earth non-rotating, because that celestial sphere model has the Earth non-rotating.
Agree.
But see, I agree with everything you're all saying, right? I agree with all that. But who are you correcting on this? Who are you correcting when you're going in there? You're correcting MC Toon, right? Now, if John wants to do it, right, I know he's well capable of it, and he'd be very good at it. But who are you correcting? You're correcting MC Toon, right, who runs a neutral platform where, as Adam calls it, the neutral outcome platform, and where he allows his own man to spend 25 minutes speaking and presenting a video, and then when John spoke less than a sentence, he was blocked. And then you have Fight the Flat Earth, who's been a proven liar. Proven liar. So who are you entertaining when you go in there? Who's going to make more out of this? They are. They're subscribers. They're going to get more super chats. It's going to be them making more out of it. Whether even if you do it, John, and you make them angry or whatever, it's still going to be them making more out of it. You're keeping them relevant. But I understand why you have this sick need to cause them problems with their models that aren't their models.
Right, the inner itch. You got to do it.
Well, yeah, we've got $5,000 an hour. If they want to pay, I'd go on for $5,000 an hour. If they pay us, I'll go on.
I wouldn't be that expensive. I'd be far more negotiable.
Wait a minute, you mean I charge more than you?
No, I mean, I don't think that's a reasonable rate.
Well, wait a minute, how many times is it going to get played? How many years will it be in the internet? That's a small portion to ask for it.
Nah, I know how much videos make. I wouldn't ask that much. If somebody wanted to pay me for my time to go on some debate, yeah, fine, whatever, yeah, I'd do it. But
Right.
I'd
How
just
much would
negotiate.
you accept?
I'd
How
negotiate the
much
rate.
would you accept?
Depends. So for
Okay, this thing.
oh, I'm trying to answer. So for Vice, they just paid my expenses. So they paid for my travel and various other little bits and bobs. Just gave them the receipts and they gave me the money. But they didn't actually pay me for anything. So in other words, to do it, it cost me nothing because they covered everything. So all I lost was
very different things.
a day of time.
Very different things.
Well,
back then, doing Vice was you were still going, even if your costs weren't covered, you were still being a pioneering flat earther, sticking your neck out there, going out there and spreading the word. That's very different to what this is, which is these people that only exist because of us, yeah, are at the stage of desperate for content because we're the best content they could ever have. I would want at least that amount of money, not because of ego, because I've got no desire to help them and their peddling of lies. So if they do want my time, it will cost them, not based on any possible income from YouTube, but just enough to satiate the bitter taste it would be to go on one of their neutral outcome platforms.
Yeah, exactly. So with all the press that got in touch with me, and there was quite a few, I turned them all down because, you know, you get in touch with them, you get a general idea what they're going to do, and that, in essence, is negotiating terms. In other words, they tell you what they're going to do, and you go no, because they're not going to be negotiable about how they're going to ridicule you. They've decided they're going to ridicule you, and you've only got to ask a few questions. That's why it always bewildered me when you saw other flat earthers go and do these things, especially ones I'd turned down. We're like, oh, I remember turning that down. Why are you doing it? Let's see how you get on. Oh, what a shock. They're ridiculing you, aren't they? Yeah, because you didn't ask them any questions. You didn't try and find out from them before you went and talked to them in front of a camera or in front of a microphone what they were actually going to do. Whereas I did every time, and every time I was like, I don't want to do this. No, thanks. But Vice, they were very different. They seemed, or the person that was producing it seemed intrigued. And she explained that to me and was keen to show that wasn't, she had no intention to ridicule me. Everyone listened to it and went, oh, what about the theremin or whatever it was in the background, the weird music? I'm like, I hadn't even noticed it when I first watched it back. The majority of what I said was unedited because I was quite concise because we were getting kicked off by security at Ali Pali because we hadn't paid for it. They were just like, we'll sneak on and do it there. It looks great with the massive expanse in the background right in the middle of London. Wicked. But within 30 seconds of turning the camera on, the security were walking over. I'm like, I've got one take to do this. So that's what they took, and that's what they put up, because they wouldn't have had a long enough video if they hadn't. So I got exactly what I wanted to say out. I was quite happy with the result, other than the weird music, which people moaned about. I was like, no, I'm pleased with that as the end result. It went on a big channel, and they didn't ridicule me. But you had to get an idea of weigh up whether or not it would be beneficial to me, and I felt it was. I still do. But only because she had gone, look, here's an example of someone else that, she didn't say this, but could easily been ridiculed, some tantric sex expert. She's like, check this guy out. Here's the video we made on him. So I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is a bit wacky. Okay, I can understand why I would fit into this bracket as people consider Flat Earth to be wacky. But you're not ridiculing him. He's just telling his story. And you're admittedly editing it into a way that seems it is more palatable for an audience, but ultimately, other than some glossy lighting, you're just presenting the guy because he's interesting. So what she's selling to me is, we just want to present you because we think you as a guy and your subject matter are interesting to an audience. And I was like, great, I'll do that. Yes, no worries. But it's like Adam's just said, contrast that with, come on our platform where we're going to be talking about models. Well, no. How does that benefit me? Doesn't.
Well, that's the thing. I want to know more about the platform I'm going to be going on. Is it going to be like the last time where he gets 25 minutes and I get 2 sentences? Like, what is going to happen? Well, I would like to see the platform and how they behave before I judge them as being like that.
Well, I am totally with Adam, because if you look, I'll use Nathan Voice as the example. What would be the point of you going from voice, which really put you on the map? It really did put you on the map back in 2015. What would be the point in you going from that to 7 years later, after all the extra knowledge that has been gained, to being on some stupid debate with FTFE and MFTM? Like, my fee is €5,000, and that could change, right? It'll only go up to it. And the reason it's €5,000 is I don't want my time wasted anymore. I don't want to be stuck in the loop with Fight the Flat Earth or MC Toon or Mr. Sensible and any of these people. I don't want it. But so if they want me to spend 2 hours of my time, they're going to pay me €5,000, and that's the way it is.
Brian, before I go,
I just 1 sec, 10th. I was actually going to agree with something you're doing at the moment. See, while I agree with the sentiment, if somebody offers to pay me something and it's negotiable and reasonable, I'll take the money and do whatever they ask. Obviously, after negotiating. But that aside, which is what you're saying, you're just saying your prices are high. Fine. I just don't want this to be the end of the conversation and kept in this vein. But what 10th is saying is, we as flat earthers have a whole host of mainstream, well-respected bullshitters to pull apart, because that's our shtick. Now, at the beginning of the show, I was like, the ideal for the powers that should not be, if we're going to reify them or create them as an entity, as a person. Well, the worst thing for that guy, Mr. In Charge, is if we attack the people with actual kudos and respect and credit. That's the worst possible scenario. The best possible scenario is we fight with Simon Dan and fight the flat earth amongst ourselves in this shitty scummy pond where they're rising to the top. So their biased version of it gets to the top and is presented at the top of this scummy pond that we all find ourselves in. Yeah? But we can, as we're doing, as 10th Man's forcing me to do, we can just check out that pond over there. It's only a little walk. Right, let's grab a fish. Got one. You grab the fish, and then you start poaching it. Why are we messing around in our own scummy pond with the scummy fish that we find ourselves floating around in, just because we've been chucked in here by someone else with a fishing rod? When we can just get out of the pond and go to a different pond and grab whatever we like from it. Well, in this case, we can grab a Neil deGrasse Tyson fish. Or a pseudoscience asylum fish. You know, we can grab whatever fish we like. And in time, hopefully, this warship will turn around, and that will be of benefit to us. Hopefully, I'm stuttering because I don't know that's going to be the outcome. Meanwhile, to contrast that, I'm getting somewhere, I promise. Who do Fight the Flat Earth and Simon Dan and anybody else, Conspiracy Cats, or who was the other one we were talking about a minute ago? Doesn't matter. Who have they got to pick from? They have only got this pool. That's it. So, while they're the scum that's risen to the top, that scum is absolutely dependent on the fish in the pond. That's us. And we could just get out and walk to another pond, can't we? So let's do it. We walk into other ponds. Now, if the other fish don't like it and they don't realise that they're flapping around, you know, or nobody's watching them flap, as is actually the case, does it matter? They're still flapping. Better than dealing with Craig. He's a numpty.
Well, that's the thing. I want to look at the platform that this is proposed to be happening on. And if I see that they give at least equal airtime to everyone, then I'll go.
I have to go, but I want to comment. I'm sorry, Adam, I have to go here, but I want to give comment to what Nathan said. You're spot on, Nathan. We go to them, the big boys. We do what we're doing. The people we're talking about get jealous. Man, they're just avoiding us. They're going to Neil deGrasse and all these people and their shows. No one interrupts them. They're able to take content that someone has already spoken, so it's out there. It's the official views of that person. And bit by bit, Nathan and crew just tear our paradigm apart. We got to do something. They're not paying attention to us anymore. We're going to be a nobody real soon. Yeah, I like that plan much better. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. They can only pick out us. If they're anti-flat earthers, fight the flat earth. Okay, so your fight is with us, flat earthers. Okay, Craig. So that's your pool. That's the only fish pond you can fish in. All right. That sounds very limiting. Oh, I don't have that same limitation, do I? And if Craig needs to react to us, as opposed to the little tiddlers that are floating around, which they do actually piss around with, total nobody flat earthers, no-name flat earthers that nobody's ever heard of, well, they can piss around with their tiddlers. Well, we're landing carp over here in a different pond. What are they going to do? React to us reacting to Neil deGrasse Tyson and tell their audiences, look how stupid Nathan Oakley the flat earther is when he points out that Neil deGrasse Tyson laughing and joking about literal La La Land examples where he literally tells you to fantasize a place where you'll be seeing someone else moving at the speed of light. What's Craig going to do to react to that? Reaction to Neil deGrasse Tyson. It'll all get very convoluted if they try and react to it. But it's a far cry from your standard run-of-the-mill flat earthers telling you how the bloody sun works, or telling you how the horizon works, or telling you what the horizon will do as you rise up. Oh, well, we don't seem to do that here, do we? Well, what we can do is pull apart the mainstream nonsense from a massive pool of bullshitters for an audience. Maybe Craig will pull that apart. We'll see. I don't care what he does. Piss around with your little tiddlers and your minnows in this little shitty pond, scum, so you can feast off it and float to the top like the scum you are. Good for you. You float to the top of that pond. Now, meanwhile, you might say, oh, well, you're still in that pond. You're masked by the scum while you go back to your scummy pond. Well, who says we will? If you're browsing YouTube and happen to come across my video, and it's got a thumbnail of some YouTuber that you happen to have recognised, with time, there's a reasonable chance, if I am actually being afforded any opportunity on YouTube whatsoever, that someone will click on it because they recognise that person and want to hear how they're wrong. But I just doubt that we'll get afforded those opportunities. We may not. I don't know. Time will tell. Time's the cause of it, so...
I'd give this analogy.
No, it's all about holy ingredient.
Yes, that's right. Can we just give a few moments praise to the gradient?
The
time flow gradient.
holy gradient.
Well, think of it this way. Let's say you live in a pretty rundown part of town, and on one side of that there's a bar, right? And in this bar there's fellas with wooden legs and one eye, patch over their eyes. Fellas with boots with knives in the boot. All this kind of really rough bar, really kind of messed up place. And you can decide to keep on going drinking there and end up in having stupid arguments with idiots, right? Or there's another bar at the other side that is not connected to it, but you just have to cross a road and you go into this other bar. And when you go into this other bar, you're likely to meet people who might be able to give you an opportunity in the future for work or whatever else. You don't end up with the same level of nonsense. You're not dealing with people who are on drugs and all this, like in the other bar. You're not getting mugged outside of it. So why would you keep going to that other bar?
Where everybody knows your name. Dum dum dum. You wanna go where people know. Yeah, it's very nice, Brian.
Oh, well, I tried to give some kind of an example. I wasted me time, obviously.
Owen, sing as your holy gradient again.
No, please don't.
I've got something to add to it.
Want to do the blessing first?
Let's hear it.
Well, you can sing your song
No,
afterwards.
you just sing the holy gradient bit, and then I can come in after that.
I'll give the blessing, then Owen can do the holy gradient song.
Go on then.
Radius Dominus Gravitas Spiritus Sanctus. Amen.
The holy gradient.
Carmen.
Carmen? What?
Look, I draw the line there.
Carmen line.
line.
Ooh. Good one.
Yeah, we're having fun here.
Oh, man.
There's about 30% of my audience that are cringing right now. I'm one of them. My toes killed a bit, but
What? 99% of the world is running around praising Helios. Why can't we do it for like 20 seconds of flippancy? What's wrong with that? What? You guys are the ones who should be singing hymns to it.
Look, after
You
that,
guys are the ones that believe it.
after that the science asylum guy, I mean, we got full range. I mean, that guy went so overboard. Come on.
you didn't like the
Well,
flying
you gotta
squirrel?
go in. You gotta go in when it's I know it's crazy. I know it sounds weird. Like, do we start claims off like that? Like, how telling is that?
Yep.
Who doesn't it with the clock? I know it sounds weird. I know this is crazy. Cut to me being really close into the camera. I just see a clock over there. It's crazy, I know. 20 miles away. I can't believe it. The crazy bit is when someone says, that is bonkers. You shouldn't see the clock. It's too far. Horizon should be in the way. Must be a mirage. I know it's crazy. At the end of the show. It seems so. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams. Hope you're smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!